Live in three, two, one. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Today's live stream is gonna be a tribute of sorts to a hell of a lot of stuff I've seen online earlier today myself. I have been involved in a few other live streams myself today, and I'm going to have this live kind of in a tributary manner to a lot of the other lives I've seen today for one simple question that I've seen asked over and over again. That question being, is there any reason to vote for Kamala Harris at all? I'm seeing a lot of folks suggest there is absolutely no reason to vote for her, and that essentially, I suppose, would mean that everybody should vote for Trump. But a lot of folks, DJ Julio, wow, thank you for the underwater graphic already. Appreciate it. A lot of folks are suggesting there is no reason at all to vote for Kamala Harris. So, I may have a mixed opinion on it. We'll certainly allow everyone to speak, and we'll certainly challenge some of those opinions undoubtedly. But the idea that Kamala Harris has zero policies and that she was a co-partner in a failed administration representing President Biden would lead many to suggest that there is zero reason to vote for her. Another common moniker is she's done nothing at all. She's done nothing good for this country at all, leading folks to say she's done absolutely nothing to give you a reason to vote for her. So I want to certainly hear your opinions on this. We'll make it clear, rather, who you're voting for and why is kind of how we'll tackle it. But the idea that there's nothing, there's no existing reason to vote for Kamala Harris is something we certainly want to talk about. Also, we kind of covered this last night or last evening on our live, but I want to go into it in greater detail. Many of you folks are aware that there was some kind of mishap between the Trump camp and the folks over at Arlington National Cemetery, suggesting that he may have violated some of the rules for deceased persons, war veterans, at their grave sites and things like that. What I want to talk about is, in addition to what may have happened at Arlington, and we'll certainly discuss that in detail, we know, I believe, was it just last week or maybe a little bit over a week ago, there was an issue with President Trump literally on television stating that the Medal of Honor and the Medal of Freedom were equal. And there were some folks that were a tad upset about that. But there's other rumors that are swirling around the former president, such as him allegedly, I'll throw allegedly in there, we'll certainly discuss it, but him allegedly suggesting that individuals that have fought and died for their country are quote unquote suckers and losers. Do you think he would have said something like that? Perhaps not, maybe not. But there is allegations that he said something like that. There's also allegations that he got angry when presented with a photo op with a disabled veteran, suggesting that it doesn't look good to be up there with somebody that's been maimed due to fighting for our country. And last but not least, you're going to hear this one often. I know a lot of folks believe that it had nothing to do with the military at all, but it is part of the mix, and that is my war heroes don't get captured. Now, that was obviously a dig at the late Senator John McCain, but some POWs and families of KIA took it personal. So what I'm going to ask is, because many of you folks probably remember President Obama, the whole notion that when he gets off of Air Force One, he wasn't saluting the soldiers. You see him get off the helicopter and they salute the soldiers that are standing on guard by the helicopter when they get off. Remember when Obama was being accused of not saluting the soldiers or perhaps not wearing a U.S. flag lapel, liberals not, standing during the anthem or not wanting to say under God, and how harmful that was to the country. So what I want to ask is simple. Is Trump getting a pass? We're holding other folks accountable. Barack Obama not saluting soldiers. Trump is doing several things that many veterans are criticizing. Yet we heard many on the right criticize Obama for allegedly not saluting soldiers when he got off of Marine One. I'm asking, is Trump, are we giving Trump a pass? Should we give Trump a pass in regards to the criticisms he is receiving from the military on several issues? I just brought up Arlington National Cemetery. I brought up the Medal of Honor, comparing it to the Medal of Freedom. This whole alleged suckers and losers comment, not wanting to take pictures with disabled vets. My war heroes don't get captured. Are we giving Trump a pass? Should we give Trump a pass compared to other leaders? Or are we giving him a pass at all? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. As always, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. We are MAGA friendly, been that way since day one. Always have been, always will be. We go left to Bernie Sanders from having dinner with QAnon. Everybody gets to speak. That's how the program is ran. It's all about free speech. You don't have to agree with anybody in the comment section. You damn sure don't have to agree with yours truly. Free speech works that way. So looking in the comments, he's not pausing for me, says Amber. I don't know what that means. No, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. No idea what that means. How is that the same? There's not even a rule for that. There is a rule for Arlington. There's a rule at Arlington National Cemetery. So you're saying that Obama getting off of Marine One and not saluting the soldiers stationed at the bottom of the ladder, there's no rule for that, but there is a rule for Arlington National Cemetery. I don't know. Listen, I'm not military, so I don't know if there's an actual rule for saluting soldiers that are waiting at the bottom of the stairs, but you're right. There is a rule for Arlington National Cemetery. That's a law. That is a law that he violated yesterday. So we're going to talk about it. Going straight to the box, someone says, does Trump salute? I've seen him salute several times. I've seen Trump salute several times. Judo Guido. Good evening.
Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. So what do you
TikTok's favorite Guido? Yes. What you got for me?
So I'm asking that question. Is Trump getting a pass? I mean, you've heard a lot of criticisms in regards to his actions, in regards to the military. And we talked about Obama getting off of Marine One rather, and not saluting. He was held accountable for that. Are we giving Trump a pass?
I don't know how to really answer this appropriately. I mean, a dumpster fire is a dumpster fire. It doesn't matter how much kindling you toss into it. Wow. It's still a dumpster fire. All right. And that's what Trump is. He's a dumpster fire. All right. So, you just got to look at it that way. I mean, he's a 34-time convicted felon. He's liable for raping a woman. Doesn't matter if he freaking takes a photo. Yes, it's offensive. But are we surprised? No. You're kind of like, when you keep seeing the same stuff over and over again, you kind of get numb to it. And it's just like, that's Trump doing another dumb thing again. Jesus, what we got to deal with. And you become numb to it because it's going to get worse. You just don't know how worse it gets. And Arlington, well, that was pretty bad, but yeah, I'm kind of numb to it. Let's see what he does tomorrow. Start peeing on a fire hydrant. I don't know.
Judo, he got 74 million votes. If he is as bad as you're portraying him, why is he doing so well? Even in the polls right now, he is highly competitive with Kamala Harris, and he was leading Joe Biden. If he's as bad as you're saying he is, can you explain that?
Yes, I can explain that very much. He was leading in the polls against Biden pretty substantially. I think we can all agree with that right. He had several points lead. And there was argument about case being made that can Biden can do 4 more years? Can he still run the country?
Right.
So we know there's debate. Kamala Harris hasn't even been in, 2-3 weeks at tops, I think. Maybe
almost 5 weeks.
Almost 5 weeks. Yeah. And she not only closed the gap, but she took the lead in some. And then on top of that, she also put a few states in play that was not being considered before. So yes, there are people that still support Trump. We can't look. I appreciate every American that's in our country, but look, some of them are just lacking a few cards of a full deck. That's what it is. But
Wait, hold on. Is there no? You're saying lacking a full deck or whatever the case may be. Are you suggesting that there's no legitimate reason to vote for Trump?
There is. Maybe if he brings a cure to herpes, but
damn.
That's it. That's it. He comes up with that, I'll vote for him. Because the old penicillin shot just ain't working for me anymore. But we'll leave that alone. That's another topic.
What about the economy? The polls suggest that even a lot of liberals believe that Trump would be a much better choice if you want to get the economy back in order. You don't give him any credit for that?
So look. So what is shown is that in a lot of these states, especially the battleground states, that economy have been the number one issue. And at around 24 points in each one of the polls, you can vary point to two, but we're going to say 24 to make things easy. Yes, Trump is leading in that, but he's getting smoked in everything else. So, I mean, if you want to go on immigration, I'm sorry.
I gotta disagree with you. Wait. You said he's leading in the economy by somewhat, but he's getting smoked in everything else. The border, he's not getting smoked in. Global issues in regards to the wars that are breaking out, I don't think he's getting smoked in everything. I don't know if you're getting that one right. And by the way, Matthew, thank you for the subscription. I do appreciate that. He's not getting smoked in everything there, Julio.
But you're looking also that those are at the bottom of the poll. So not everybody's worried about Ukraine. Not everybody's worried about Israel, right, or Palestine, right? But Kamala's already came out on the main stage and said she's taking that bill that Langford did, and she's reintroducing it within the first 100 days. She's made that statement many times. Policy, she supports that bill to bring structure back to our border, to bring judges to go through immigration, to slow down asylum, to not slow down asylum, but reduce the amount of asylum and stop the immigration coming across.
Yeah, but the obvious pushback is going to be, are you doing this just because it's election time? Why didn't you folks do this when you were as president and vice president?
Oh, they tried. I mean, come on. When you got a sitting Democrat that is a Democrat and President Biden says, hey, give the Republicans everything plus the kitchen sink. And Langford, along with two other senators, created this. It's up for debate what you think is amazing. But we created this bill to give the president powers that's never been installed in the president before, and to provide resources, including upgrades in technology, more funding, more pay for our border agents out there. You start bringing in. It wasn't like it was breaking the bank. I think it was $180 million bill. It wasn't breaking the bank. It wasn't like this $1 trillion omnibus infrastructure bill that he got passed.
So let me just ask you personally. Do you personally think that the Kamala Harris, Joe Biden team has been effective at the border?
No, I think I honestly think their priority was different. I mean, Joe Biden, while the border was an issue for him, but he had Title 42 covering him. When he ended the emergency action declaration that Trump had installed, it shifted from 42 to Title 8. All right. Okay. But his focus was get out of COVID-19, try to get the economy up and running, get the infrastructure bill, get the CHIPS Acts going, getting things to kind of get the economy starting back up, because we were basically coming from a dead stall. Not a complete dead stall, but it was struggling for a lot of Americans trying to get jobs, trying to get money in their pocket, and we had the CARES Act. So his focus was not the border; it was people who were hurting.
But you do realize the right in many border states were screaming about the border from the moment he took office, and you had Kamala Harris basically saying on television that there was no real problem at the border. Took 2 years to go down there.
Oh, I get what the right is saying. I mean, they're going to complain about something, right? So when you bring them these facts, it's like, oh, it's fake news, it's misinformation, it's whatever. Like I said, you can't lead a horse to water and make them drink it, in the essence is what I'm getting to, right? So you can bring the information, and it isn't for them. It's for those who are maybe still on the fence that haven't decided. Maybe those who maybe got some bad information and said, wow, this guy brought some context. Let me research this because the TikTok mega guy is just giving me bad information. That's the whole point of conversation having between people. Yes. Could it have been better? 100%. Is there improvements for the border? Absolutely, you can do much better. That's not a perfect system down there. I'll never argue it's a perfect system. But he wanted Congress to do their job. He wanted Congress to step up, these Republicans to step up and do their job for the American people, and they consistently failed.
So let me ask you this. Yeah. I do have to move it on, but before I let you go, let me just ask you this simple question: are you, because you're clearly not voting for Trump? That's pretty obvious. Right. But at the end of the day, are you voting for simply against Trump, or are you actually voting for Kamala Harris? Is she the candidate, or is it just to get rid of Trump?
It's to get rid of Trump.
You're honest. All
right. We don't need him in office. I'm a Republican. And we made a very clear statement in 2020. Get out of the gate. We don't need you.
You are a Republican?
Yes, I am. 100%. Wow.
Did you vote for him any of the other two times?
2016, I voted for him.
And why not in 2020?
He was a dumpster fire.
He started out as consistency.
Yeah, you said it. Yeah. I mean, you see, and I was, in the military at the time, and you start seeing the writing on the wall. Changing policy via a tweet. I mean, the chaos that man created in our formations was ridiculous, right? And then just his comments, and then you start looking at, you're like, this dude is hateful. This guy is viscerally hateful, just attacking women, attacking just soldiers, just attacking. It was. I get it. I made a mistake. I'll admit it. And a lot of people made a mistake. But that mistake was corrected in 2020. Granted, Biden wasn't the best, and I don't agree with some of his policies, but he wasn't a 34-time convicted felon. He sure as shit didn't was a laughter. He wasn't a laughing stock of our country.
Wow.
It is what it is, and he was put out of office. He should have gone off the pasture, Mar-a-Lago, played golf, talk a little shit, whatever you got to do. But now it's like, hey, you're gonna have to get smacked pretty hard now. It's gonna be brutal for him.
That ain't good for the Trump set. All right, Guido, thank you for your service. I didn't know you were a former Republican. I didn't know that. Wow. Do you still consider yourself a Republican? You just want Trump gone?
Yes, a moderate. Yeah, I'm a moderate Republican. I was a Nikki Haley supporter.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Appreciate you coming through.
Yes, sir.
All right. And wow, that's different. A lot of you folks will point out that there are everyone from African Americans to Hispanics to Democrats leaving a Democratic plantation, I think they call it, and voting for Trump. Well, there's a prime example of the opposite. Wow. So what we're asking, though, is there any reason to vote for Kamala Harris? Now, my last caller didn't necessarily cite any reason to vote for Kamala Harris. In fact, he admitted sole purpose of voting is to get rid of Trump. So is there any reason to vote for Kamala Harris? Some would suggest she has no policies, or others would suggest that while teaming up with Biden, they didn't accomplish anything. But I want to hear your opinion. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 20,000. Can certainly make that happen. Tap the screen, get the likes up. Same on YouTube. Feel free to smash that like button. Let's get up to about 30, if you will. Robert and Andres, appreciate your input, says fake channel. Thank you, Robert. At least you didn't notice it. Wow, Arizona. Racist much, says Dave Webb. I don't quite get that comment. What's wrong is that he used a military cemetery, which is off limits for a photo op. That does seem to be the primary issue. Now, see, Arizona Tactical says veterans do not support Harris. Dencal, appreciate the underwater graphic. Thank you for your support, Dencal, by the way, of the program. DEI incompetence exposed. Well, you haven't exposed it yet. I do believe there's some remnants of the Kamala Harris appointment that may fit the narrative of DEI simply because Biden made it clear he was going to be appointing a black woman as vice president. But I do believe she is qualified as well. She leans left. If you lean right, you don't agree with a damn thing she says. I get it. But she climbed through the ranks of district attorney, attorney general, California attorney general, U.S. senator, vice president. That's a resume. that would lead to you believing a person could be qualified to be president. Most presidents come from either senator, governor, or vice president. She's got 2 of them under her belt. She's qualified. You just don't like her policies, and I understand that. Paulo Monteiro, guy, it's impressive how Kamala looks like former socialist president Dilma of Brazil, who suffered impeachment. Well, I assume when you say she looks like a former socialist president of Brazil, you're talking physically? Because her policy, she hasn't put forth enough policies to compare her to any other world leader. I don't know what the former president of Brazil stood on, but I can tell you for certain Kamala hasn't put forth enough policies for you to say they have enough in common. So I guess you mean physically or appearance? We'll leave it at that. Army Airborne says veterans support Harris. Yeah, I do believe there's a lot of veterans that support both sides. I mean, I'm going to assume there's a hell of a lot of female veterans that support Kamala Harris. But by the way, I just saw an article before I came on live with you folks suggesting that voter registration for black women of all people up 150%. 150%. Think they're all going to vote for Trump? We'll see. Any veteran that votes for Kamala Harris is a traitor of the United States. What has she done? I'd be real curious. What has Kamala Harris did at this point? Because remember, the right says she has no policies. Yeah! Appreciate the hat and mustache there. Thank you. For what has Kamala Harris did at this point that voting for her is equivalent to being a traitor of the United States? What has she done? I don't quite get that one. Because everyone says she hasn't done anything. They say she has no policies. So what have you seen her do so far that would make you say that? DJ Julio, maybe DJ Julio can tell me. Voting for Kamala Harris, if you're a veteran and you vote for Kamala Harris, you are a traitor to America. DJ, good to see you. What say you?
Well, first I'm going to say to SGR, he said, or she said, when do VPs make policies? VPs make policies when they fucking run for president.
Okay.
I wanted to answer that. I was going to write that, and then you brought me up. I didn't know I was coming up that fast.
Okay, but you're right. Once you run for president, you give the policies that you want to make. You don't get to make anything yet, but you let folks know what you're running on.
Right. She running on some bullshit. She ain't got no policy yet.
I need you to define. What do you mean when you say she's running on bullshit? Elaborate.
Well, no, I was just saying I haven't heard any of her policies that were her own policy yet.
Well, she claims she wants to codify women's rights to choose.
Okay, so what policy is that? I mean, what's behind that policy? Other than that, I mean, I want to hear more from her. I don't dislike her because she's a woman. I don't dislike her because she's from California. I don't dislike her for any other reason that she's a former prosecutor. Okay. I don't like her for that reason.
Well, as Diana Nelson on YouTube says, what about the child tax credit?
I haven't heard that either. That's new to me too.
What about giving home buyers? I believe she's going to get
stupid. That's stupid. That is the most stupid thing in the world. $25,000 is going to come out of all of our pockets for every new home buyer? That's no, hell no.
Okay. Well, it's a difference between no policy and a policy you don't agree with.
Right. You know, what I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying is she doesn't really have much for policy out there yet. I mean, she's got a couple of things that she's talking about. She's copied Donald a couple of different times. But yeah, that child tax credit, I mean, I'm not against that. I'm not against that. We have a child tax credit as it is, but.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask it to you this way. If somebody said, what policies does Trump have? How would you respond?
I would, again, economy, border, America first, fair trade.
America first? What the hell is that?
Where we start taking care of ourselves first, which is going to come from the trade, the tariffs that come on that, the imports that we're taxing, and I'm going to answer this question. This person said, Trump had 4 years, name one of his policies. Oh, well, I just did.
But wait a minute, you said taking care of Americans first as a policy. Elaborate on what is he, if you're going to take care of Americans first, what does that involve? What does that entail? We know he's not for a minimum wage increase. We know he's not for tuition forgiveness. These are things that would help Americans. We know he's not for universal health care. What does taking care of Americans involve?
Well, it involves first making sure that we're not paying more to export or import to some other country. It's to make sure that we have fair trade. It's to make sure that we can walk down the street and feel safe. If it's stop and frisk in Chicago, then that's what it is.
Okay.
You know, it's about making you an honest man, who you are, never been in the criminal courts. It's allowing you to continue to feel safe walking down the street and not worry about a stray bullet somewhere.
I gotta tell you, Julio, if I know any guy with a badge can randomly stop me without no accountability, I don't feel safe though.
Hold on just a second. I get that. I get what you're saying there. Someone said something about us paying for the tariffs. We don't pay for the tariffs. If you look at what a tariff is, it's a tax on incoming goods. If you want to buy China or somebody else's product, you're going to pay. You might pay a little more for that. Yeah, buy in America. Buy from America. Support your local people. Support your local government, your local businesses. Quit buying shit from Temu. Quit buying shit from all those dumb places, because you're not doing anything for America that way. You're getting a break. You're getting a deal while somebody else suffers.
Okay, well, let's get back to your other comment, because Bandito805 on YouTube said, stop and frisk, he's crazy. Because you are in favor of stop and frisk, am I correct?
I didn't say that I was in favor of it. I said if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes.
Then it is on it. Wait, you're not in favor of it. You're not, hold on, you're not in favor of it, but you're making it clear it's on the table. You're not in favor of it, but you're making it clear it's on the table.
No, I don't. It's a small issue that doesn't trump any of the other stuff that he's going to do. And yeah, I mean, it's going to surprise you, and yeah, it's going to make the bandito feel bad. But listen, live right, goddammit.
Let me get clarity here. Are you okay under any circumstance with the police being able to stop and frisk folks without a warrant?
It's happened to me. I don't care.
That ain't what I asked you.
I put my hands up and I let them get it done. I just told you, I don't care.
Okay. You do realize
because I'm going to put my hands up and I'm going to say, do what you got to do. Get the hell out of my way. I got shit to do. I got business to stand on. If you feel like you need to frisk me, then frisk me.
Let's say you're driving to work one day and you see 3 or 4, I'm going to say black men, but it could be anybody. But let's say you see 3 or 4 black men sitting on the curb. One cop is standing over them and a couple other cops are going through their car while they're on the curb. What opinion would come to mind if you seen that? You're in your car and you see them sitting on the curb, one cop standing over them, watching over them, and 2 other cops are going through their car. They got the hatchback or the trunk open. What would go through your mind?
Stop and frisk doesn't involve a vehicle. Stop and frisk
is when you're
walking.
Yeah, it does stop. Yeah, it does involve your vehicle. They can search your house if they want to. They can frisk anything. It don't stop at your person.
Well, if he's talking about the same thing that stop and frisk was in New York had nothing to do with cars. It was cops on the beat being able to stop whoever they wanted to and make sure they weren't carrying any drugs or weapons.
Okay, then let's change the scenario. You're walking down the street and you see a couple guys up against the wall and the cops are going through their pockets and shit. And one other cop is off to the side standing over watching it. What would that lead you to believe?
Well, maybe they were doing something wrong.
Exactly my point. Is that every time you say, if you don't got nothing to hide, just let them search, you realize you're forming a negative opinion about innocent people in the public eye. Anytime people see the police going through people's possessions, they think negative shit.
It comes back to feelings and what people may think of you.
It's far more than that.
That's the argument you gave me, though, Tim.
No. Let me explain my argument, though. If I'm on the way to work and that scenario happens in front of my job or near my job and other co-workers see that, their opinion of me is I done something wrong.
And if you have a good relationship with those people, they're going to say, "What the?" They're going to say, "What the hell was that about?"
And what about the people at my job that What about the people at my job that I have no relationship with at all that saw it?
They may ask. They may ask somebody else that they have a relationship with that has a relationship with you. If you ain't doing nothing wrong, man, quit fucking worrying about what people think of you. Be you, be good. That's it.
That's your opinion on this?
Well, yeah. Honestly, what else do I have to do? Let's just say that I don't like Donald Trump. Let's just say that I'm here playing devil's advocate and I'm actually going to vote for Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say I'm going to do that. If it goes and Trump wins and stop and frisk is nationwide, what can I think about it? I'm going to have to deal with it. And I sure as hell hope that if I'm dealing with that he's doing everything else that he said he was going to do.
So what kind of laws are you going to pass for this? I'll give you another example using me personally. I move medical supplies around and get presentations and all this bullshit. I'm on a schedule. So people are expecting me to arrive places on schedule. If I show up 20, 30 minutes late because I got stopped, are they supposed to forgive me? What about the employee that's walking to work or catching a bus to work and he shows up 10, 15 minutes late because he got stopped? Do the police give him a note so that he don't get rolled up for being late to work?
Maybe. I don't know. I've never had it happen. I never lived in New York during that time.
I think that's the issue, as you just stated. I've never had it happen to me. That's why you have that opinion. It's never happened to you.
When you have millions of people in this nation, Tim, running around willy-nilly doing what the hell they want to, putting what they want up their nose, down their throats, walking around with guns, getting what they got, however they got to get it, robbing your house, robbing your grandma, robbing your son, whatever it may be. Yeah, I'm kind of tired of it. So my other options are, okay, so no stop and frisk, but guess what? I'm going to have open carry in my state, which I do.
Let me make something clear, because this is something I hear on the right all the time. The people on the right needs to understand all of this bullshit in Chicago and their gun laws. You can carry a law-abiding citizen can carry a gun in Chicago, because everybody tends to say what you said. Well, if I could carry a gun, I wouldn't need a. You can carry a gun in for self-defense just about everywhere in America. I don't know why they keep going back to this.
Because that's what I'm saying, is if that's what it's going to take, it's going to either be one way or the other way. Either I'm going to carry a gun and I'm going to put people down when they try to get at me when they're not supposed to, or they're trying to get at my property, or they're trying to get at my job, or they're trying to get at my kid or whoever. Or we just let people know that if you're walking around acting shady, you might get stopped and you're probably getting frisked. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a great thing, Tim.
No.
But you know what? It's not going to stop my vote. It's not enough to stop my vote.
Okay. All right, and that's fine.
What is enough to stop my vote is allowing abortions up to the 9th month. What is going to stop my vote is not giving a shit about the man say, yeah, I know a woman carries a child, but you know what? That man has feelings too. He has a heart too. What if he's completely against it, but you're not? And now you took away his life of his child that he was about to have, and nobody gives a shit about that man. Nobody cares about him. He don't want to be a dad. Well, that's okay. We're going to go after him for child support for the rest of his life. He's never going to have a driver's license because he's not going to pay his child support because it's too goddamn much money.
Yeah, and just like
with paying $1,600 a month for kids, that's stupid.
Well, and just like with the stop and frisk thing, where you said you never had it happen to you. I'm 50 some odd years. The stuff you just mentioned with the 9th month, that stuff will never have an effect on me. Just like you're not going to vote based on stop and frisk. The stuff you just mentioned, or folks talking about playing for the wrong sports team, that stuff has no effect on my life at all. So I agree. I understand. So
what's your thoughts on that? Like, how does it make your heart feel when you hear people that had really no reason to, but just decided they didn't want to have a kid 7 months in? How does that make your heart feel?
I don't like it. If you want to let me say this. Hold on, hang on. If you want to outlaw terminating a child at the 7th month, I think you get a hell of a lot of support even from the left. The fact is, you guys are not. You guys keep using late-term abortions to defend banning it altogether or banning it in like the first or second week. If you wanted to ban it at these late levels, then pass laws from that point. But that's not what you're actually doing. You're going for heartbeat bills and 6 weeks and all of this stuff. You're not even coming close to late term.
We have to.
Then that's why you got a different opinion.
You guys are, not you guys, but the Democrats for sure, way left-leaners, are going after Trump about giving state rights. The state right to freaking decide. It's not Trump. Trump ain't making those decisions. He let the state make the decisions. He let the people of the community they live in decide.
But then I'll say what I just told you again. If Trump gave the rights to the states and they were doing what you're complaining about, preventing folks from getting rid of their kid in the 7th month, I don't think you'd have a lot of resistance. The fact is the states are going way beyond that. They're going to heartbeat bills and 6-week bans and trying to pass laws that prevent you from going elsewhere to do it. I mean, they're going way beyond what you're complaining about.
No, and I agree. I agree that there's going to be people that overstep it. They're
all doing it. It's not people. Every single one of those states.
You say all, but I don't have any of the problems that the 90% of you are bitching about. I don't have those problems in South Dakota.
Well, let me repeat what I was trying to say. You brought up getting rid of a child in the 7th month. I responded by saying every single state that has placed limits on abortion went way beyond 7 months. Most cases it's in the mere weeks. Some cases are not even 7 weeks. They got like heartbeat bills and shit. If any of those states was doing it at 7 months, like you're saying, I don't think you'd have the resistance. They've went way beyond that.
Well, okay, so then it does kind of put women in a sticky situation. But women and men, I mean the man that she's laying with, those two people are the only ones that know there's a chance I might be pregnant. I messed up. I didn't take my birth control correctly. I fucked up. I didn't put a rubber on, or the rubber broke. You know, there's those. You know, within 10 seconds of you doing what you just got done doing, whether or not there's a possibility you might get pregnant, which was the reason for the what is it called? The next day pill? What was it called? What was it called?
You talking about the morning after?
The day after pill, yeah.
Yeah.
Or morning after pill, whatever you call it. I didn't have a problem with that. I didn't have a problem with that because it stops everything before it starts.
Actually, you do realize they're trying to get rid of that too. If you believe that life,
I heard that.
Yeah, so that's what I said. Your side is going way beyond the stuff they're complaining about. They're using late term as an excuse to ban everything.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand where you're coming from. I'm just telling you that it's not enough. It's not enough for me to go against all my principles and vote for Kamala Harris or Joe Biden at that point. And it might be against all the majority of your listeners' moral fiber. It might be, abortion's a big deal for them. That's their number one. Okay, I'm not voting for Donald Trump because he's for, abortions with circumstance.
Well, it doesn't matter what Donald Trump is for when it comes to abortion at this point, because he's already stated, I gave it to the states and I'm not going to interfere. He could be pro-choice at this point. It doesn't matter.
Thank you for saying that. So maybe these people will quit talking about it.
No, they're not going to quit. Hold on. They're not going to quit talking about it.
That he didn't do.
No, they're not going to quit talking about it because no matter how bad a state does it, they only got the right to do that because of Trump. He's the one that allowed these states to pass these laws. So, and by the way, it doesn't help him that he took credit for doing it. So, yeah, they're going to continue talking about Trump because he went around bragging and he's the one that did it.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And I'm going to comment to this lady that says I don't want what I don't want. Something, but I want control. You're goddamn right. I'm standing on control. You are after control, not morals. That's what she says. I am 100% after control. 100%. And you know this. I've said it to you a million times. I am 100% behind self-control, which means responsibility, which means respect, which adds control. You goddamn right I am.
What are you, Lord?
I want you to be in control of you. I want you to be in control of you, and them to be in control of them damn selves, and me to be in control of myself. And that's what I got here in South Dakota.
All right, Julio. I appreciate you coming on.
I want to say one thing.
Real quick.
I want to say one thing. You were talking about wanting to talk about this Arlington, West Virginia thing.
Real quick. Go ahead.
You know he had permission to do that.
No, I don't.
Verifiable through Google. He had permission to bring a private cameraman to that place because he was with the fallen veterans. He was with their family.
He had permission to go to the grave site and do all that?
Absolute. He was absolutely invited to Section 60 with a camera.
All right. All right, Julio. We disagree, as always, but it's always good talking to you.
We don't always disagree.
Well, we did today, damn it. We absolutely did today.
Just because your moral fiber is different than my moral fiber.
I don't know.
My moral fiber is about respect and responsibility. Your moral fiber is about fairness and empathy.
I like that. I like being about fairness and empathy.
It's 100% real.
I like
that. 100% real, but Tim, understand this. If you want fairness and empathy, you have both got to be respectful and responsible. You yourself do. You have to be in control of yourself because you're the only one that can control, and you can't control anything outside of yourself. Just you. That's it.
I got a lot of pushback, but I got to go. Appreciate it.
All right, you do it.
All right, Julio. Always a good talk. Thank you. And moving on with the program, folks, as I say, we are always about free speech. We are MAGA friendly. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So understand we go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. Everybody gets to speak. You don't have to agree with the host or anyone else in the comment section. That's how free speech works. A vote for Democrats is a vote for MAP, M-A-P, Chris Babcock. I don't understand what that means. Behind a strong man is always the strong woman that makes the man. See, Honest Mechanic, it's a hell of a name. I'd get my car fixed there. Honest Mechanic says he wants to control your program, Tim. DJ Julio is certainly a friend of the program, certainly supports the program. I have no issues with him. We just disagree politically. But DJ Julio did say he's about control. Shout out to Laura, the late Laura Brennigan. He ain't your friend, Tim. Okay, all right. Dizzle Wizzo. Disagree with him 100%, says Charles Vaughn. Yeah, and that's what you're allowed to do here. Eric B. No, it's not that hard to avoid pregnancy. People just careless and don't do it. They let body parts overtake critical thinking, kind of like an animal. Jesus. Wow. So if a woman is irresponsible and gets knocked up, you comparing her to an animal? Keep talking. You're gonna have Trump Jr. get 100% men. You're gonna be like, ain't no females walking in this polling place at all. It's gonna get to the point where the MAGA side of the house, you're not even gonna need female restrooms. You keep talking like that. Like it ain't no females in this polling place at all. Did cow animals? Damn, animals. He ain't your friend. Let me go back. Did cow? Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hey, what's going on, Tim?
I don't know, but women who get pregnant irresponsibly being compared to animals.
Hey, hey, that's your other side of the program, man. That's how they feel.
That's like the other side of the universe. So animals like that. She just got knocked up. She ain't in the forest hunting other animals. Yeah. So any reason to vote for Kamala Harris at all?
Of course, there's plenty of reasons to vote for her. But real quick, I just wanted to address
the Arlington Cemetery.
I try to listen to DJ Julio, and it confuses me when he's unable to concede any points, even when you bring it to him and set it in front of him like a birthday cake. He just can't blow out the candles. I mean, he's sitting up there saying that he's okay with taking away people's human and civil rights.
Yeah.
Because it's not affecting him. And wherever he is in bumfuck, South Dakota, like, dude, you cannot just get on. Well, I guess you can. You can get on here and say, well, that's just kind of a thing that happens. Now he needs to understand that a lot of my parents and probably your parents and the people around during the 90s, during the crack epidemic, we all said the same thing. We said, go ahead Go ahead and do what you got to do to get these people off the street. Now, 40 years later, we understand what the effects did to innocent people. And now we saying, he did that's what Joe Biden did back in, the 95 crime bill. We know what the effects are now. So for them to try to say, let's go ahead and duplicate that when the crime stats are nowhere near like they were back in those days. But to insinuate that crime is so out of control that everybody that walks out of their house is now a walking target is just not true. It's a talking point that just makes everybody seem like we walking around in the Thunderdome.
Well, what about the notion that Julio and a lot of other folks say that is, if you haven't done nothing wrong, you shouldn't have an issue with them searching you?
Well, I know that that's bullshit, and everybody else knows that walk around in big cities know that there are crooked cops all the time. We even know their names in the hood. Like, we know who they are. They come around, they hassle people, they mess with people who they know it's not committing no crime. It might just be young guys hanging out, and they come up, they frisk them, they'll take your money, they'll bust you upside the head for talking smack to them. They don't understand that regardless if somebody might be committing a crime, you can't just check everybody and just say, okay, I got this one person, but I violated, it's 20 people. I violated 19 people's civil rights, but I got this one person, so it's a job well done. Well, what about the 19 people's civil rights?
Yeah. And I got to say, I know somebody personally that happened to, where they got basically stopped and frisked. The cops had really no reason other than they looked like they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Went through their pockets, found a lot of cash, and demanded that they prove they had earned the cash, and that guy was without his paycheck for a few weeks. So, your landlord and all your bills need to understand that you got to prove that money you earned is yours. I mean, how many folks have had money taken because the cops said the dog smelled drugs on your money? I mean, all of these things can happen when you allow them to go through your personal belongings. Who knows what's in your purse or what's in your pocket that a cop may suspect of being something else that it's not? And once you invite stop and frisk into our lives, you can be treated like you're guilty until proven innocent.
And you're being polite, and you're only talking about the cases where there may have been some proof. What about the 90% of the cases that there is? You can go down to the police station and say, "Hey, somebody took my money," and they say they don't know what you're talking about, and that's the end of it.
It never came, because the money never made it to the police station.
The guy said, "Look, he's lying on me," and guess what? With
a lying tonight. Yep.
Hang on a second, folks. I didn't realize I had another app going, so let me go back to it. All right, I had something else going.
With immunity and stop and frisk.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, with immunity and stop and frisk, those things never come to light. We're always talking about the situations where we know of that have made it to the national press or whatever, but they don't understand that 90% of these crimes that the police are committing go unreported, because who are you going to report to that the police are committing a crime?
Yeah, other police, and they may not take. You're right, because a lot of times when these cops are found guilty on videos doing something really wrong, the first thing you hear is, well, this person had 10 other complaints against him, or this person had 20. All of them other people are what you're talking about. They complained and nothing came out of it.
Right, and then by the time you see what happened on those body cams, and then you compare them to what the police officer said in that initial report, they're totally different. Their buddies were saying that nothing happened. They said nothing happened, and then everybody's forced to change this story when the body cam comes out. It's like I don't understand how somebody could say. Now, look, I have enough empathy to say that. Heck, I feel empathy for Hispanic people if he comes out with this deportation force, because they're going to be given unlimited access and power to take those people's civil rights. I'm talking about the people who've been here who just don't happen to have their papers on them. Guess what happened to those people? They get thrown in jail until they can prove that they're not here illegally.
I will say, if Trump is promising the largest deportation in history, giving police immunity like he's promising and allowing stop and frisk does make it a lot easier to do that. Because now the cops can chase immigrants anywhere. They don't have to have warrants to go into places. They don't have to, they don't have to deal with the public pushing back. Because a lot of the public may want to defend some of these immigrants. Maybe they don't fell in love with them, had kids with them, became friends with them. But now if the police have unlimited powers in the form of immunity, even people who are resistant, well, we'll haul your ass to jail too. I mean, so it would make it easier to do that.
Right. And like I said, like I have empathy because I understand as a young black man, I went through, although they were saying that it was happening in New York, stop and frisk was happening all over the country. Yeah. Police was stopping you and they talking about, oh, we can't do it in a car. Yes, they can. If they see 2 or 3 or 4 young black men in a vehicle, you getting stopped.
Yeah. Period. Yeah, the idea that, because you're right, Julio said he was for stop and frisk if it'll bring down crime, but then he said, no, it's not in the vehicle. Well, if the criminals are in the vehicle and you're allowing them to stop and frisk because you believe it, why would you stop at the vehicle? You're going to tell me that a criminal, as long as he jumps in the car, he's safe? No, you're right. Yeah, it's going to be the vehicle. It's going to be your house. It's going to be wherever you're at. The goal is to stop crime.
When I joined the military, I had many friends, just talking about everyday life. And I tell them, how the police just, if you're in certain areas and they see that you're a young black kid, they're going to pull you over. And they said, well, they can't do that. That's against your rights. I said, well, tell them that when they do it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to stop them from doing it. And to think that it's only going to happen, it's only going to affect people that are doing bad, is just totally missing the whole point. But anyway, I just want to address that. What was the question?
Yeah, real quick, I was just asking, are we giving Trump a pass? Because when Obama used to get off of Marine One and not salute the soldiers, they were talking about how disrespectful he was to the military. But it seemed like Trump keeps getting challenged, whether it's Arlington Cemetery, that issue, comparing the Medal of Honor to the Medal of Freedom, this whole alleged, because I didn't hear him say it, but I'll say he was alleged to have referred to military veterans that serve in combat as suckers and losers, not wanting to take pictures with disabled vets, not liking the way it looks. That's also alleged. And then, of course, him saying to John McCain, my war heroes don't get captured. Are we giving him a pass? Because we did bring up that Obama was not saluting and saying that Obama was disrespecting the military, but we're not really saying that about Trump.
Listen, saluting... There's no rule. There's nothing that says that the president has to salute these people. First of all, you're not supposed to salute when you're uncovered without something on your head. That is just something that the presidents do because they're the commander in chief. But there's no rule or no law that says they have to do it. But the main thing is that if the people, the military people, the vets or whatever, if they can't see that this man he didn't just break a rule, he broke the law.
You're talking about at Arlington.
Yes, that is a law that you do not film, take pictures, or anything that's political in nature.
But how do you respond to my last guest, DJ Julio, who says he had an invitation to do that?
He had an invitation to go to the plot. Yes, there's nothing wrong with him going to the plot. You just can't take pictures and turn it into a campaign thing, which he did today by putting it out as a campaign thing with him standing there in front of these dead soldiers' graves with a thumbs up and a smile on his face. There's nothing fucking funny.
I don't know. I know it ain't funny, but I'm laughing because why would you go to somebody's gravesite where they're dead and throw a thumbs up? I mean, you're right. I mean, a picture of somebody smiling at somebody's grave, I hate to use the term that we're hearing all the time, but it looks weird. Why are you at somebody's gravesite smiling with a thumbs up?
It's a solemn event. You're going to the anniversary, which first, I don't understand why the family would invite him when he was the one who basically negotiated with the Taliban and allowed them to be able to, to boom those people at Abbey Gate. It's kind of funny why they would invite him and think it was cool. But That's all. That's up to them.
No, they believe Biden. They believe Biden is the reason their family members got killed. I get the anti-Biden sentiment. I'm fine with that. But yeah, going to a gravesite and with a thumbs up, I don't know what sense that makes. I got to move it on, though, Cal.
Right.
No clue at all why he would do that.
One more thing for the vets. It was illegal for what he did and to turn it into a campaign video. Illegal.
All right. As always, Cal, appreciate your service, by the way. Thank you for clearing that up.
Right.
All right. In the comments, Jay Rich, tell them proudly announce what is MAP, M-A-P, my YouTube site. I got a lot more MAGA on YouTube. I always like engaging with MAGA as well. You guys are bringing up MAP, M-A-P. What is that? We want the president to have morals when society has lost theirs. Nothing wrong with that. A guy from Pennsylvania has a wife and little twin babies. He came to the United States years ago, started food businesses, and went back to Mexico to come back to the United States legally. Government are now holding him in Mexico for 10 years. For what reason? Okay, you said a guy from Pennsylvania has a wife and twin little babies. He came to the United States years ago, started a food business. I think you're skipping something, and everybody wants to know the answer to FHL. Did he come legally? Because you say a guy from Pennsylvania has a wife and little babies. He came to the USA years ago and started the food. You didn't say how he came, though. If he came here illegally, folks on the right, and I may not want this to happen, but I got to agree with folks on the right. If you commit a crime and you behave afterwards, but they catch you years later, the fact that you've been a good person doesn't always excuse you from the crime. I'm going to leave it at that. Because a lot of folks do believe that if you come here illegally, stay under the radar for years, and get caught, you should be excused if you haven't done nothing wrong since. But you still have the original crime out there of entering illegally. So that's the crime. So if he came here years ago and started food, first of all, well, I guess he could have a food truck, because I was going to say he shouldn't legally be to start a business. But, you know, you could be doing it as a 1099 person or something like that, which means also he paid a lot of money in taxes that he'll never get back. That's something that folks on the right need to understand when they talk about illegals come here and they take every damn thing from the United States. No, that guy's working, and I can guarantee you one thing: if he's here illegally and doing all that kind of shit, he ain't getting income tax back. He's putting money into the system and he's not going to get it back. So the idea that they're taking, I don't know about that part. But if he came here illegally and stayed under the radar and was behaving while here illegally, but when they caught up with him, they sent him back to Mexico, they do have a legitimate case. You're not here legally. I mean, they have a legitimate case. Looking in the comments, people need to mind their own damn business. Says right is right. Well, minding the country's border is a business, is their business. I mean, I do believe, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, you should agree that people should be vetted. We need to know who is in this country. I understand having empathy for folks who are going through things abroad, but you can't just let anybody in without knowing who they are. I don't buy into the notion that they're all coming to unalive and grape every damn body like Trump says, but you should know who's here. I don't think that's too much to ask. Hey, handsome, let me talk to you. We can speak. Most illegals follow the law because of the fear of deportation. Grew up in Texas. I do believe that. I do believe that most immigrants, it's the same. I push back on the same notion that they're all coming here trying to vote like that. I don't believe that you're going to come in this country. You're not here legally. You're trying to stay under the radar, and you're going to go and cast a vote? Really? You've been in this, you got to come to the promised land. Let's say I'm a Guatemalan or a Honduran, or I'm down in Nicaragua somewhere, and a close friend of mine got to experience the American dream. He walked through Mexico, all of that shit, snuck into America, and I hear he's up there doing really good. All of a sudden, the next day, I come outside, and my boy is back on the block sitting on the porch. What happened? They caught my ass trying to vote. Do you realize how fucking stupid that sounds? You got to experience the American dream and all of that, and you risked it all so you could cast one fucking vote? Just one vote? You didn't try to rob a bank? You didn't try to steal a car? You didn't try to get paid? You got deported because you got caught casting one vote in a country of 350 million people? Do you realize how stupid that sounds? So the idea that a bunch of immigrants are coming here to vote, yeah, I think that's laughable. I think that is hilarious. That's the last damn crime I'm going to commit if I'm trying to stay under the radar. How about trying to do something so I can eat? So I can feed my family? So I can have somewhere to lay my head at night? Maybe so I can send some money back home to my mom. To vote? That's it? You got kicked out of the best country that we've been trying to get to since we were kids? Because you went over there and tried to fucking vote? Really? He deserves his ass beat. I think some folks on the block would say that. Let me go back to the box to vote. Oh my God. Big Trig. Good afternoon. Stupid, but maggots believe, yeah, it's real stupid. Good afternoon, Big Trig.
What's going on, my brother? How are you today?
As always, hanging around like Mike Pence on January 6th. So at the end of the day, is there any reason at all to vote for Kamala Harris?
Oh, there's many reasons to vote for, right? That's what she's making her case now. Let's just start right there. She's making her case for who she is. The problem and that so many people are trying to say that they have with her is the fact that they don't know who she is. Well, you can go and you can educate yourself on who she is, right? Now you have to ask yourself, what is best for me, right? Me and my family, with me and my surroundings. And I think that's where people get lost in this whole thing. They're just so engulfed in the fact that I don't know. Well, go find out who she is. Look at the things that she got. Don't listen to your friends or your neighbors. Go put your eyes on it. See what history has for her. See what she's doing. And you know what, Handsome, what really kills me is they act like people can't change their mind when they get more enlightened, don't they?
Hold on. I disagree with you because Trump is on video saying he identifies as a Democrat. He's on video saying he's not Christian. He's on video saying that, Democrats are better for the economy. I think they do accept that people can change their mind. They're just trying to, in my opinion, hold the opposition to a different standard because there's clear video. Trump's on video saying people don't need high-capacity magazines for firearms. I mean, so they clearly understand you can change your mind.
But only when it comes to one candidate.
Well, maybe that.
That's what it is. So we're going to hold you accountable, but our guy we're going to kind of make excuses for. We're going to say that he really didn't mean it the way he said it. You kind of being a little soft-hearted. Oh, why? Come on, thicker skin, man. That's what we're talking. Man up is what they're telling us when it comes to their candidate. Because really, when you sit down and you watch a Donald Trump rally, when you hear him speak, right? Mm-hmm. He may have a message, but the message gets lost in the presentation, right?
I think Donald Trump has a fairly decent message. I think you said the presentation, but I do believe when he goes off script is probably his biggest detriment. I think because I believe on paper he should have got reelected. If you just look at what happened on paper, minus the pandemic, I think he should have got elected. But he likes to get into the personal attacks and all of this stuff, and I believe that cost him.
Exactly. But let me just say this, Handsome. Let's just take it back a little bit, and I'm just gonna. I may make my point, and then again I may not. But it's just, I want to say it just like this.
Sure.
As we look back when Donald Trump took office, right? He was riding. Probably, I would say, I'm not gonna say riding. He was given an economy that was lucrative.
Okay.
Right? Now, everywhere I've looked and everywhere I've researched, right? I've seen that they say that it takes time for anything that you put into action. It takes time for it to manifest. for it to produce itself. So let's just go back and look at it like this. He was handed a great economy. You're telling me 2.5 to 3 years, right? That person who gave you that economy, that's what you're kind of riding, right? And he spent a lot of time trying to change a lot of legislation that was against those individuals. So they're saying it takes about 2 or 3 years. So now the funny part about it is we get to the time where his things start to take effect.
I don't know if that's fair to Trump. And I've heard that many times. But before we continue on that conversation, I always point out interesting comments. In the comments on YouTube, C Note says, answer the fucking question. Will you pay extra taxes for a black American in the form of reparations? Is that really out there?
Well, evidently from his point of view.
I'm
not even. It's his point of view. Like you said, people get to say what they want to say. We're not blocking, censoring it. Yeah. That's his point of view.
Yeah, because I'm not aware of any. I know a lot of black people, and I'm not aware of any of them talking about they about to get reparations. So I don't know where he's getting that from.
I'm tell you what it is. It's ignorance. He's just spewing hate. He just wants somebody to recognize. He wants you, Tim, to recognize that he said something, right? Yeah. But here's the thing. And you have to do that because your show allows everyone to have free speech. But if it was mine, he wouldn't have got the time of day for that garbage he just shot out his mouth. And that's exactly what he just did.
Well, here's another one then from the other direction. Because we're talking about any reason to vote for Kamala Harris, and Big Man, or Bugman rather, I'm assuming he's an exterminator. Bugman says Harris will not have you inject bleach. And by the way, he never said bleach. He said disinfectant, but go ahead.
Yeah, but at the same time, but you know what? I hope people with just a little bit of common sense, right? I mean, would know that, hey, that might not be the right solution, right?
Yeah.
But we know there are people out there that's so gullible and accept things from the person that they believe in as fact that, some people just may try something outlandish like that. But
it might be fucking suicidal. You do that. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get the likes up to about 40,000. I haven't been asking that. If this is uncensored programming, folks, so if you do enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, follow the program on TikTok and subscription on YouTube, if you will. We don't block, ban, and censor anyone. Keep going, Big Trick.
Well, I'm going to say this like this, right? In my opinion, like I said, it's going to take about 2.5, 3 years. Right, and then at the time when his policies, things that he enacted, are to take effect and grab this thing, the pandemic happened. Right, boom, wham, boom, leading into it, it just a train wreck waiting to happen. Now the whole world is rocked.
Here's my problem I have with what you're saying, and you're not the only one to suggest that Trump inherited a good economy from Obama and all of this, because Trump is known for the economy. That's his biggest claim to fame is we had a good economy, and the left wants to say it was Obama. And it could be, but here's my issue with that. It's unfair to Trump because that means if he let's say he inherits a good economy from Obama and he does something crazy to screw shit up, we're going to blame Trump. But if the economy stays good and he doesn't do anything and he lets it maintain growth, we blame Obama. So under that particular mindset, the only grade Trump can get is bad. That ain't fair. In other words, he can't get a good grade on the economy because you're going to get that to Obama. The only grade you're going to give him is a bad one. Go ahead.
He personally gives everyone other than himself a bad grade. Right?
I can't argue with that.
I mean, everyone has failed except him because he's done everything great. Right?
I can't argue with that part.
He opened himself up for that type of scrutinism where we can chip away and talk that talk. He gave it to us. He allowed us to do it because guess what? He does it to others. But I don't even want to spend that time talking evil of him or nothing like that. The bottom line is this, right? We have to sit back and educate ourselves on what's important for us, right? What's important for our families? What's important for our community? What do we feel strong about, right? A guy once told me that he was from a red state, red town in Kentucky, right?
Okay.
And he showed me where some of his relatives live, right? In that town. He showed me pictures. And he said, man, these people are diehard Trump people, right?
Okay.
He said that he goes back there to see if their lives had been changed, better, or anything during the Trump administration. And he sees no change, right? But they swear up and down that he's done so much for them, right? And he says that some cases they're even worse than where they were prior to Trump coming into office. So my thought process is this: it's what's important to you, right?
True.
Your life may be the bottom of a wagon, right? And that guy came in office, and guess what he did? He put a wheel on the wagon. So you're still at the bottom of the wagon, but now you got a wheel on the wagon, and life is better, right? So now you're gonna. That's how you're gonna look at it, perceive it. Look at Kamala Harris and Waltz have to make their case. I got it. I read, educated, and seen what it's about for me. I'm voting for those individuals because I believe that she holds the best values that I want, right?
All right.
As far as Donald Trump goes, you can vote for him. It's kind of hard to overlook the things, no matter how they came about. It's kind of hard to overlook that he's a 34.
It ain't hard to overlook it if you think those charges are all bullshit. I gotta move it on though, Trick. I understand your point, but for folks who believe that all that was a witch hunt, it ain't hard to overlook that. I gotta move it on.
Exactly right. You're right. I do agree with you, my brother, that yes, they can overlook it. But guess what? They still are convicted charges that he was given. He's been convicted of it. I can go down the street and say, man, it was a witch hunt that they got me locked up for 5 years. Guess what? I was still locked up for 5 years.
That is absolutely true. Big Trig.
On the record.
Appreciate you coming through. Thank you. I didn't know you had more. I'm sorry about that, Trig, but I will move it on. Guess what? On YouTube says, Kamala knows Trump is the bomb. Otherwise, she wouldn't copy his plans, not tax on tips ignorance. I don't know about Kamala Harris knowing that Trump is the bomb, but you are correct. She has copied some of Trump's policies, up to and including even talking about stopping fentanyl from crossing the border. I don't pretend that every damn thing about Trump is bad or everything about Kamala Harris is good or vice versa. I think they both have some issues. I think they both propose things that could be favorable to people in this country. But you are correct, guess what? And thank you for the super chat. You are correct that Kamala Harris has started speaking similar to Trump on a couple issues. A couple. But she's vastly away from him on many other issues. The Constitution states you're allowed to defend themselves. They stopped Trump from doing that. Yeah, well, they didn't stop Trump from doing it. Once they gave him those felony charges by law, in some states, a felon can't. Is there any state that a felon can own a firearm? Certainly in this case where you're a felon and you haven't even been sentenced yet. Now, I know some areas a felon that has been released, that has done their time, can then regain their Second Amendment rights. But what about an active felon that hasn't even been sentenced yet? Is there anywhere in the country where you can still own a firearm, where you got a felony that you just been given, you just been convicted of a felony, and you don't lose your gun rights? Is there anywhere in the country like that? Because I understand, and I see in the comments, Mark says made up charges. I can't, look, there are liberals that even believe Alvin Bragg's 34 charges against Trump were overstepping it. But I will point this out. Trump ain't the only one in this country that's been a victim of trumped up charges, if that's what you believe. It's just the right doesn't seem to really give a damn about other folks that are being victims of it. Hunter Biden. How many folks on the right have said that name recently? What Hunter Biden got charged with? Lying on a gun application and obtaining a firearm, committing no crimes with the firearm, and getting rid of it in 11 days. And he has a felony for that. That's trumped up charges as well. I can tell you for certainty that if Hunter Biden's dad was not running for president, those charges would not have happened. If that was Elon Musk's son or Jeff Bezos' son or Zuckerberg's son, they would have made a deal with the prosecutors on outside of court, paid a small fine, and that shit would have went away. Hunter Biden is also the victim of a witch hunt. Don't lose reality because you hate him and you like Trump or vice versa. Both of those guys, I do believe both of those men, Trump and Hunter Biden, at least in the Alvin Bragg case, we haven't heard all of this, the election fraud and the documents case, that stuff has not been adjudicated yet. So I'm not going to defend Trump on cases that I haven't seen the evidence yet. But on the Alvin Bragg case, my humble opinion, if Trump was not running for president, he would have, just like Hunter Biden, he would have had his lawyer at the time, Michael Cohen, would have reached out to the state's prosecutor, and they would have made a deal. Trump would have probably owed a few $1,000,000 and that shit would have went away. Simple as that. Both of those people, Hunter Biden and Trump, got charged with crimes simply because people in the public, people in power disliked either them or someone they were related to. Simple as that. Looking in the comments, I gave 2. Wasn't that what I was asked? You just don't like any answers. Jen, I don't know if you responded to me. You said, you keep saying I gave 2, but I don't see what the 2 are. Continuing on with the program, Bob says, Joe Biden didn't do a damn thing to help his son with the courts. That's an actual real American that actually cares about the justice system. No, don't give Biden all that damn credit. Biden knows he has the power to pardon his son all the way up to January of next year. The election's coming up, and Biden wanted to run. Why would I pardon my son and make it look like I'm one of the elite protecting my son from justice before the election happens? I can do that after the election is over with. All I need to do is delay my son being sentenced until after the election, then I pardon him. If I win, then I can pardon him. I don't have to run again. I'm on my second term. If I lose, I'm still in office for 2 months, I can pardon him. He's 82 years old. So no, he's not going to do anything for his son before the election because it's going to change people's opinion of President Biden. If he lets his son appear as if he's going to pay his price to society, then he looks like he's for law and order. I think anyone would do the same. Your advisors would tell you, do not touch this until after the election. I don't believe that means Joe Biden is a great guy. It's politics. Trump almost bought a gun as a felon. Did he? GB? Why would Trump even go? Really? Did he do that? Hey, Jen, go pull some invasive plants in my backyard before they become non-native. Wow, what are you talking about there? Biden didn't remember to help his son. I don't buy that. His wife could have done it. His wife could have reminded her husband, you need to make sure you pardon Hunter. I don't buy that it's memory. He didn't even help the situation. You're just coming up with possibilities. Maybe that might happen in the future, but there's no evidence to base that. What am I saying that don't make sense? You're running for re-election. We're going back 5 or 6 weeks ago, before Kamala Harris is at the top of the ticket. You're running for re-election. Your son has been convicted of a gun felony. He's not going to be sentenced, likely, before the election takes place. Why would you pardon him now? You're not saving him any time in prison. Now, it's different if they had sentenced him and threw his ass in prison at the time he was found guilty. Because now, yeah, there's several months into the election. I don't want my son being in federal prison for several months. But in this case, you can afford to wait until after the election is over with, and your son's not going to do a day. No president is going to act right now and pardon Hunter. It can wait. Hunter loses nothing. Just wait till after the election. That makes no sense. Going back to the box, I don't care. I'd pardon my son. That's my blood. Well, he is going to pardon his son. If Biden pardons his son November 6th, let's say Biden was still running for president. He would probably lose, but let's say he was still running for president. On November 6th, if he pardons Hunter Biden versus pardoning him back in June or May, what difference does it make for Hunter? Doesn't make any difference at all for Hunter Biden. It's not like you saved him from doing any time, and he didn't get a job because of the part. It makes no difference at all for Hunter Biden if you make him wait a few weeks or a few months. But for the guy running for office, being President Biden, it could make a hell of a difference. So why would you rush it? Why would you speed it up? What do you make of the recent post by Trump with Haba on them? What post with Haba on them? I don't quite get that. But she will try to tax your retirement at a higher rate. Look, I don't know for a fact. Remember, you're saying that Kamala is going to tax retirement at a higher rate. The woman that has no policies suddenly has a policy now? I thought she didn't have any policies. You're giving her one now. So either she has no policies or she does. Make up your mind. Looking in the comments real quick for a super chat. Yeah, that Trump bought a gun as a felon. I didn't know that. Continuing on, one of my subscribers, you always get his subscribers first, Diggs, Hugo. Good afternoon, Hugo. Welcome to the program. No reason at all to vote for Kamala Harris, Hugo. What say you? I'm hearing there's no reason at all to vote for Kamala Harris as president. We'll give Hugo a chance to come up. The box is acting funny. She's lowering taxes for the middle class. That's what I don't get. And I see in the comments someone says, C. Moore says she's lowering taxes for the middle class. She's promising that, and that is a policy, by the way. But that's what I don't get is the right biggest complaint of Kamala Harris is she has no policies. But then when they criticize her, they're attributing all of these policies to her. She's far left. There's going to be blue hair people every damn where. You're going to have LGBT playing, Boy, I thought she didn't have any policies. You seem to know her very well. RP, yeah, appreciate the hat and mustache. SLL policies are promises. What is an SLL policy? She in the office now. Why don't she do it now? Because vice presidents don't have that power. They're federal court. You're saying that Kamala Harris, her promises should be irrelevant because if you're going to actually do this, why wouldn't you do it now while you're... Vice presidents don't do that stuff. Notice how everybody believes that Trump was one of the greatest presidents we've had in recent history. I got some viewers who believe Trump was the best president in U.S. history. Notice how they're saying that, but they're not giving Mike Pence credit for a damn thing. You're giving Kamala Harris credit for your perceived faults of the Biden-Harris team, but you're not giving Mike Pence any kind of credit for perceived successes of Trump's. It's because in reality, vice presidents don't do shit. Otherwise, you should be going, yay, Mike Pence. You should be celebrating Mike Pence. You're not doing that. That ain't Trump's economy. That's Trump and Mike Pence's economy. That's what you should be saying. But by not doing so, you're kind of admitting the vice president don't have a damn thing to do with it. But for some reason, you're expecting Kamala Harris to be involved. That's not her job. Now, I do believe they wanted her to go to the border. She could have made speeches, recommendations on the border, and she failed, in my opinion. I don't think Kamala Harris gets a high grade on the border, but they're crediting her with the price of gas and the economy, and she ain't got shit to do with that. The vice president don't make economic decisions and all of that shit. She's not signing bills like that. This is why you need the interview tonight that's going to take place in a couple hours. The right needs content. This time tomorrow, we're going to be doing lives on all of the shit she said that was wrong. Because the right is begging for content. Finally, something to talk about that's legit as opposed to what race she is and who the hell she slept with 30, 40 years ago. Now we'll have some real content. Let me go back to the box. We'll go to, I don't know what happened with my last guest there. Top Dog. Good afternoon, Top Dog. Welcome to the program. Pence doesn't even give himself credit. Too busy defending Trump. Mike Pence ain't defending Trump. I don't know about that one. In fact, none of the top leadership of the Republican Party is defending Trump at all. You didn't have the Reagan family there. You didn't have the Bushes there. And there's several, Jeb Bush and George Bush are still alive. They didn't show up to the RNC. Mitt Romney was the Republican nominee in 2012. He didn't show up to the RNC. John McCain's family, because he was the nominee in 2008, he didn't show up to the RNC. None of the leadership of the Republican Party that existed in our lifetime showed up in favor of Trump. In fact, how many members of his own administration showed up? The, Attorney General Barr, Ambassador Bolton, Scaramucci, Amaro. I mean, because RFK, Robert F. Kennedy, joined Trump and endorsed Trump. And one of the first things he said is he got away from the Democratic Party because that is not the party of his late father and uncle. And I'm thinking, like, when you look at the RNC, do you think that that is the traditional Republican Party where none of the traditional Republicans showed up? I mean, you're going to criticize the Republican Party as a change party when none of the leadership, I mean, let's just be real. For the DNC, Democratic National Convention, all of the leaders, former leaders of the Democratic Party that are still alive, with the exception of Jimmy Carter, because he's on hospice, showed up. I'm surprised they didn't do a video of Jimmy Carter from his deathbed. But Clinton was there, his wife was there, obviously Obama and his wife were there. The Democratic Party is the change party? That didn't make any sense to me. RFK is nobody and no one cares. Well, Trump was very happy. Trump was very happy to get that endorsement. Tap the screen. Get the likes up to about 60,000 if that's possible. Smash that like button on YouTube as well. Try to get us up to about 300. Try to make that happen. One day, someday, somehow, I'm going to get a way to engage with the YouTube viewers, but it requires a third device, I believe, and I'm going to be honest, the support for the program is nowhere. I mean, well over 99% of the people that watch the program don't support, so it is a money play. I'm not even going to deny it is a money play. Looking in the comments, though, great points on the convention. Yeah, at the end of the day, to say the Democratic convention is, the Democrats rather, is not the party of his uncle and his dad. Like, you think the Republican Party hasn't made any changes at all under Trump, really? What about the cocaine in the White House? Nobody talking about that. Jason Wood, yeah, big dog, appreciate that mustache. The cocaine in the White House, what about it? The only person we know for certain that uses cocaine in the White House at one point was Hunter Biden. But among elite circles, among the wealthy, there are so many folks that use cocaine. It could have been anybody in the White House. And now that we've seen what happened when there was an attempt on Trump's life, it's pretty obvious the Secret Service is not that good at their job. So who knows where that came from? Leftover from Don Jr. I see somebody, wow. Said the cocaine was left over from Don Jr. All right. Looking in the comments real quick. Epstein private jet, talk about it. Why is Trump flying on it? I don't really trust anybody that hung around as a good close friend to Epstein. I know on the right, they're holding everybody accountable that hung around Epstein that happens to be liberal or lean left, and they're kind of giving excuses for people on the right, but I'm not going to see difference in party. If you hung around that dude, you were friends with him, I mean, after all, there's pictures of Trump out partying with the dude. I don't think you need to be on the island, because folks say, well, he ain't on the flight list. Well, first of all, Trump has his own damn plane, so he don't need to fly on Epstein's jet. He could always say, look, I'll meet you out there on Saturday night. Hook me up. So you don't need to be on the damn flight list. He got his own aircraft. But I also will point out that Epstein, in the form of Ghislaine Maxwell, had his own pimp. Literally had his own pimp. So if Epstein is in Manhattan or Los Angeles somewhere, and he starts suddenly getting the urge, you know what I mean when I say the urge, to be with someone, you think he had to fly all the way back to his damn island to do that? Really? You think he would have had to fly all the way back to his island? You got a pimp, and you got infinite wealth. He can do what he needs to do in Los Angeles or do what he needs to do in LA. You don't need to be, or in Manhattan somewhere. You don't need to go back to your island to do that. My guess is he had a lot of impropriety acts in the United States on the mainland. So people who hung around him should be considered suspect. It ain't got nothing to do with the flight list. I'm sure it went well beyond that damn flight list. He was flying on Epstein's jet now. What? All right, looking in the comments, I think a lot of anti-RFK are people who don't know him. No, I don't think it's that. I think, well, first of all, let's be clear. This time, and I'll go back to the box. This time last year, RFK was running to be the head of the Democratic Party. And now all of a sudden, he's endorsing Trump and may even get a cabinet position. Do you think he was ever really a Democrat? Do you think MAGA would be okay with somebody like that? Whereas you were running to be the Republican president, and now all of a sudden, a year later, you're endorsing Kamala Harris. They're going to call you a rhino. You never were a Republican at all. RFK was never a Democrat. If you can do what he did in that short period of time, whereas you were running to literally lead the Democratic Party, to be the head of it, and now you're part of MAGA, part of the Trump administration, you were never a Democrat. Because Trump is the antithesis of Democrat. He hates the liberals. He thinks the liberal policies are horrible for America. This guy was running to head him. This guy was running to be the leader of the Democratic Party. So yeah, the idea, RFK never was a Democrat. RFK was never a Democrat to begin with. That to me is about as clear of an example. And by the way, that's the reason why he never gained any traction. Is because when you listen to what Democrats are concerned with, town hall, Democratic media outlets, RFK was not talking about any of that shit. He's talking about vaccines and what's going on with the food kids eat. Those are decent issues, but that's not kitchen table issues right now. You know, there's too much sugar in kids' cereal. That's not a kitchen table issue. Nobody's talking about that. People talking about the economy. They're talking about losing their right to choose and shit. He's over here talking about where you're putting too much salt in SpaghettiOs. Nobody's talking about that shit. That's why he never gained any traction. And he's not going to do anything as part of the Trump administration. I'll tell you why. Trump is for less government intervention. Trump is against three-letter organizations. Trump is against using government to tell corporations what to do. Everything RFK is preaching requires that. If you're concerned with corporations putting bad shit in the food for kids, you need government to impose laws on what they can do. Trump is against that. So you're not going to get what you want from this organization. So RFK is a non-issue at this point. Travel, man. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Opportunist. I like that, Jen. Yeah, he's an opportunist. He saw an opportunity to stay relevant by joining the Trump campaign. That's all that is, because he was about to lose badly. Once Kamala Harris jumped in the race, a lot of, I'll give the box a minute, RFK was about 20%. He's about 20%. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 60,000. RFK was hovering around 20%. Once Biden bowed out and Kamala Harris jumped in, his numbers went down to about 5. You know why? A lot of folks did not like Trump or Biden, thinking they're both too old, not a good choice. Give me somebody younger. They went to RFK. Once the aging Biden dropped out and the younger Kamala jumped in, all the liberals or potentials that are leaning left abandoned RFK and came to the Kamala Harris camp. RFK's numbers went down to 5%. So, in my humble opinion, by RFK going into the Trump campaign, most of them probably were Trump voters anyway. All of the Democrats and the independents that lean left already abandoned him. His numbers dropped significantly when Kamala Harris got in and Biden got out. He was going nowhere. Looking in the comments, wouldn't RFK be better attorney, not FDA cabinets? I don't know what RFK would be, but I know for a fact what he's talking about, you're not going to get that from the Trump campaign. You're talking about you want healthier products put in, kids' lunches and kids. Wasn't Michelle Obama talking about, making things better for what kids eat, and the right laughed at her ass for that? What, is RFK going to do better? She was talking about school choice and all of this shit. The right was laughing at her. And all of a sudden, RFK thinks he's going to be more successful. The only thing RFK is going to get is Trump congratulating him because Trump figured it may turn into a few votes. Once Trump wins the presidency, you're not going to hear from RFK again unless it is him and Trump falling out. RFK's outspoken. You may hear RFK in the future, if Trump wins, complaining that Trump ain't doing shit for him, and then they'll fall out, and MAGA won't give a damn. MAGA don't give a shit about RFK. You fell out. Get lost. You'll be just like Scaramucci, Omarosa, Attorney General Barr, and the rest of them. Get lost. You played yourself. All right, look at it in the comments. How else do you think they got rich? All right. Jason, are you bored and have no friends? Come on now. You can do better than that. What are you guys talking about in here? Tap the screen. By the way, on the YouTube side, smash that like button. Get us up to about 110. Smash that like button. I appreciate it. Let me go back to the box. I don't know. I'm having problems with the box. Trying to bring up guests. Whoa! Donnie! Thank you. Thank you, Donnie, with that beautiful train. Appreciate that support there. Let me try to see if I can bring up another guest. I'm having problems every time I'm trying to bring somebody up. I'm trying not to reset the live, but that is what's happening when I try to bring folks up. Chase Scarpo? Is that what I saw there? Chase Scarpo? Chase, am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Scarpo?
It's Scarfo. The PH makes an F.
Okay, fair enough. I'm learning. So, Kamala Harris, is there any reason at all to vote for her?
Yes, and unfortunately, I have to back it up by stating reasons against Trump. I mean, one, I come from a family where abortion was a very big issue. My aunt wanted to have a child, and she had to have an abortion because it would have been detrimental to her health. There's that side of things. There's the Project 2025.
Well, Trump says he has nothing to do with 2025. You don't believe him?
I'm sorry. I'm going to call a big fat BS on that. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because his cabinet members are part of it. People that he has worked with directly are a part of it. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but in the public eye, you are guilty by association, my guy.
Yeah. Good point, because I will say, and this is to my MAGA side of the house, if the same conditions existed and a liberal was saying he had nothing to do with this, and all of them members that were part of their administration, the right would be saying, yeah, you're guilty of it. So what is the other one? Talking about Kamala Harris. You said Abortion Project 2025?
Abortion Project 2025. The simple fact that the Harris campaign is obviously a lot more ignited when it comes to positivity, hope, love, and staying connected amongst each other.
Damn. You almost sound like the Heritage Foundation is a Scrooge group.
I mean, you could say that. You could say that. I'm not gonna say that every single one of them are hateful individuals. I'm sure that they've got some kind of deep-rooted moral reasons for why they're doing what they're doing. But let's look at those moral reasons. It doesn't have anything to do with what is right for the public. It has everything to do with what is right for their religion.
Oh yeah, it's certainly religious based. I don't deny that. So it sounds to me more like, though, you're not voting for Kamala Harris, you're voting against Trump.
Well, I'm voting against Trump, yes, but no, I am voting for Kamala Harris.
Why?
The reason I am voting for Kamala Harris, one, she was a prosecutor. That is kind of a pretty big deal in the wake of Trump being a felon now. And everyone's talking about these issues that they don't want to vote for her because she's a prosecutor, because she put so many people in jail back in California. Look, here's the reality and here's the logic that everyone needs to realize. When you break the law, there are consequences that follow.
True. Do you want Trump locked up at 78 years of age?
That's a whole nother moral issue. I mean, why would you put an old man in jail? Like, come on. Like, let's be honest here, people. Like, why would you do that to an old little man? Now, unless...
Why you gotta throw little in there? He's 6 feet.
Well, okay. So he is a big man. He's tall.
Okay.
I'm just simply speaking on the fact of, like, this is an elderly individual. Like, why do we want to see someone thrown in jail for the rest of their life for fraud? Let's be honest about this. This is for fraud. Now, if he had killed somebody, yeah, absolutely, dude. Go sit your time out. Go sit the rest of your life in jail. You did a bad deed.
Okay.
But for fraud, come on.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. So let me ask you then. He's due to be sentenced on September 18th. What do you believe should be a decent sentence?
Me personally,
no jail time?
I think a decent sentence would be having, and because all of this stuff has to do with his businesses and fraud, I don't think he should get a sentence per se. I think that he needs to take a very big financial hit to his companies.
Oh shit, he already owes E. Jean Carroll and Letitia James got him for $335 million. That ain't even been discussed. I mean, he already took a big financial hit.
Well, he's going to keep getting these financial hits, but at the same time, there needs to be somebody needs to step in and say, you know what? No, enough is enough. These big private corporations and these private individuals who are really wealthy, you are not allowed to support him anymore. Wow. Somebody needs to step in and say, no, you guys need to stop supporting something that is so egregiously wrong to our country.
So what do you want him to do? Ride off into the sunset, broke and bankrupt? Give him his seventh bankruptcy?
I mean, hey, it wouldn't be the first time. How many times has he gotten bankrupt?
Yeah, six.
So, I mean, it wouldn't change anything. Honestly, if he did take the hit to his companies, if he filed bankruptcy again, some rich somebody somewhere is just going to bail him out again.
Trump is not going out broke. He may not be a billionaire, but he will spend the rest of his life never having to worry about money. You're right. He got enough friends out there that'll sling him $1 million or $2 million. Wasn't there somebody that lost their life when they attempted to take his life? Somebody else did lose their life at that attempt, and he gave them $1 million. So obviously he got friends that'll come up with a few bucks at whim. I'm sure he had no problem fighting that $1 million from one of his donors to look out for that family, because it does look good at the campaign.
Exactly, and that's really what this all boils down to. He's trying to make himself look good, and it's all about Trump. It's not about the American people. Like, their campaign is not about the full scope of the American people. They are only catering to certain avenues and certain conservative extremists, and that's what's going on. And you look at the Harris campaign, and they are trying to pull everyone together.
Yeah, the Heritage campaign has not done Trump any favors, and I do think one of Trump's downfalls is he hasn't been anywhere near as strong in regards to condemning Project 2025. Just simply saying I don't have nothing to do with it. Yeah, it's not enough. I mean, like you said, there's too many links to him, and I mean, they're using his name throughout the book. You've been at the Heritage Foundation asking folks to donate money. You're on video doing that. There are way too many links for you. Well, I ain't got nothing to do with it. nobody's going to believe that on his face. You need to do a hell of a lot more explaining than that.
Right, and he's not going to have a very fair chance at explaining away being a part of it simply because his cabinet members were involved. He has direct contact with all of them. Like, come on, dude, you can't grift the public anymore.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, no chance at all that you'll be voting for the former president.
Something really extreme is going to have to come from the Democratic side.
What about Kamala Harris? Some would say Kamala Harris is something really extreme.
Well, the only reason why someone might think that she's really extreme is because you've gotten used to the what's the word?
The patriarchy.
Yeah, people have gotten used to the patriarchy in our society of men being in control of everything. And look, our world is changing. There are other countries that have women presidents, and they thought they would never have women presidents, but they do have them now. And look at how well those countries are doing.
That is true. That is true. I got to move it on then, Chase. I appreciate you coming through, man. Good talk.
All right.
First time talking?
Yeah, it's my first time talking on TikTok with you, but I've done it on YouTube.
Oh, all right. Well, good to see you on this side. Don't be a stranger, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. And look at it. I have got to find a way to get my hands on more MAGA. Let me make it clear, folks. When I say we're uncensored, when I say we're MAGA friendly, damn it, I mean it. But for some reason, TikTok, most of my viewers on TikTok lean left. I don't run from MAGA. I'm not trying to deliberately pick liberals or any of that shit. But at the end of the day, the folks that are calling in generally lean left. Whereas on the comment section on YouTube, it's mostly folks on the right. And there's nothing I can do. I think Paul Hall says it best. It's TikTok, yep, China really tearing this up. And I think that's what it is that a lot of MAGA have issues with China. Fair enough. I'm not going to disagree with it because there are reasons to have issues with China, but they don't want to fuck with the TikTok app. So as a result, most of the folks on TikTok are not MAGA. They don't lean right because, they don't want to take a chance with a Chinese app. So it is what it is. But I do try to bring folks up from all sides. This isn't about a woman being president. It's about who's best for the job, says Joseph. Yeah, it is somewhat about the woman. And I'll tell you, Joseph, I do agree with you. It should be about the person that's best for the job. But I get a lot of callers, and they are mostly MAGA saying that a woman doesn't have the temperament to lead this country. I got a few callers that don't even believe women should be able to vote. So her being a woman does matter. Absolutely does matter. I get a lot of folks that, even women that believe that women should not have that position. I do believe some of that might be religious based. I'm not for certain. I'll plead ignorance on this, but I'm just guessing and speculating. So forgive me if I'm wrong, but I do believe there are a lot of Christian women who believe that, a woman has a role and something like that is not her role. It's not a role to be in that position of leadership like that. So and that's why a lot of folks suggest that if Kamala Harris becomes president, a lot of countries are not going to work with her. Well, the Middle East marginalizes the hell out of women. So in the Middle East, she may face some backlash because they don't believe women should have that position. I'll say this, I say it all the time on the program, far-right countries, America's not a far-right country, but far-right countries marginalize women. There are two things that are prevalent in far-right countries. One is all far-right countries are very religious, different religions, but any far-right country, religion and the marginalization of women is prevalent in all far-right countries. They don't treat women as equal. If you get too far to the right, women suddenly stop being equal. And religion becomes damn near mandatory. Most far-right countries, religion is damn near mandatory. I'll give you an example. Right now, the state of Oklahoma don't pass the law. Well, we know Louisiana has now mandated the 10 Commandments in schools. The state of Oklahoma went further. Reading the Bible is now part of the curriculum. Doesn't matter what religion your damn kid is. If your child goes to public school in Oklahoma, reading the Bible is part of their curriculum now. They got to do it. mandating religion. Those states are starting to go far right. Some of this stuff is starting to happen in America. Some of those are, can we talk about the liberals and the LGBT and the blue hair people going far left? We don't talk about far right, but that's far right policies when you start mandating stuff like that. Looking in the comments, no, I don't agree with your false comparison. One trying to be king and one trying to follow laws. All right. That's bull. I would have totally voted for Tulsi Gabbard and I liked her as VP. Why do you guys support these? You guys talk about liberals being traitors and why would you vote for somebody that completely switched parties to lead yours? I don't trust any candidate that makes a big ass party switch like that. Maybe you can have a cabinet position. Maybe you could be a congressman or somebody. I don't want a president that used to be part of a different party. Unless I have a very lengthy conversation. You're talking about Kamala Harris not doing interviews. I need to sit down with your ass for about an hour, 5 or 6 days straight. If you're Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Christian Cinema, Joe Manchin, I need to sit down and really interview the shit out of you before I'm going to let you run for president. When you're switching parties like that, I need to know what part of your former party is still in you, which is why before I go back to the box, MAGA, I'm speaking directly to you. You need to be concerned after seeing Trump, because this is what MAGA believes. You believe that during 2016, Trump appointed a lot of people that was bad for him, bad for his success, and not loyal to the man. From Mike Pence on down, you believe he made a lot of bad appointments in 2016. Well, we know in the offseason, he tried to do it again. Herschel Walker, Dr. Oz, Kerry Lake, and another bunch of failed folks. Now he wants to appoint a guy who was just running to be the head of the Democratic Party this time last year, RFK. He's not good at HR, folks. You shouldn't be doing shit like that. I don't want to hear about how many folks that were part of Trump's administration that are rhinos, treasonous, or traitors when he's making appointments like that. At some point, this shit has to be his fault. You know this guy was just running to be the Democratic president of the United States. Why the hell is he on your administration if he gives him any position? I don't want to hear if him and RFK fall out. If Trump and RFK fall out, I don't want to hear about how bad RFK is or he's a rhino. Or I don't want to hear about it. You know what this guy was doing before you appointed him. Trump is not good at HR. You can talk about the economy and whatever you like about him, but he's not good at hiring people. That makes no sense at all. Let me go back to the box. Putting in the guy who was just running for Democratic president, serving on your administration. Yikes. Mr. G. Good afternoon. Trump loves traitors. Yeah, must be. Mr. G. See if the box brings him up. Hey, I figured it out. Trump is a real secret agent for the Democrats to win. He wasn't when Biden, well, he's helping Kamala, but he was going to beat Biden. You said nothing about him was Democrat, just trying to get funds. What? Ed G, nothing about who was Democrat, just trying to get funds. I don't quite get your comment. But I said RFK was not running on anything the Democrats were concerned with. But at the same time, he wasn't really running on anything the Republicans are concerned with either. I mean, he's running on bad ingredients in food that children eat. How many times you went to a Republican town hall and heard that come up? That's not a big issue with the economy, the border, playing for the wrong damn team, girls' sports. I mean, they're not talking about, neither party is talking about what RFK was running on. Neither party. We'll try one more time with the box. I mean, he had a show where he fired people that he hired. It's a good point. But it's different when it's your administration. It's just, these people are not running some kind of virtual business. They could be messing up your administration. They could hear things and repeat them later on that could lead to a bunch of misery for you. Remember, when Trump was being found guilty and taken to court, a lot of that shit's coming facing. That whole January 6th hearings committee, a lot of the testimony was coming from members that he hired. People in his own administration. He doesn't know how to hire very well. Trump was in Home Alone 2. Yeah, he was. I want to challenge that because that's not what he's running for. That's what he's saying, Scully. That is what he's saying. RFK left the Democratic Party because they lost their way. Bullshit. RFK ran for Democrat a year ago. What the fuck about the Democratic Party changed in the last 12 months? He ran to be the head of the Democratic Party like 12 months ago. He was still running for president. In fact, just a few weeks ago, he was still running for president. What about the Democratic Party changed that recently? That's a bullshit excuse that he left the Democratic Party because it changed. There's nothing different about the Democratic Party right now than it was when he decided to run for president. He only announced he was running for president, less than 2 years ago. Party ain't changed that damn much in 2 years. He's making an excuse because he had a piss poor outcome. So he's making some kind of bullshit excuse. Now, it's different if he ran for the Democratic Party back in the 1970s. You just ran last September. Party ain't that damn different. Going back to the box, tap the screen, get the likes up to 80 if we can. 80,000, appreciate it. Firefighter Matthew, I'm having a terrible time running this damn show with the box acting so flaky. Firefighter Matthew, good evening.
Man, you are on fire tonight.
Really? I don't feel like it.
Oh my goodness, you are making some great points. I'm loving it.
Thank you. So
I'm gonna be brief. Oh man, you were just hitting some great points about RFK. Like, my goodness, you are on fire. You are hitting all the right notes tonight.
I thought I was sounding like a fucking idiot according to my MAGA side, but keep going. Flattery will get you everywhere.
But that's what happens when you're making sense. Wow, you are on it tonight. My 2 cents is this: after the convention, everybody, the talk was, where's Kamala's policy? She's not doing no interviews. She's not coming out saying her policies, And the old saying is, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Right.
Well, check this out. Trump didn't show up to any debates against
Nikki Haley and all them
candidates running to explain any policy he was going to present.
That is true.
But somehow they gave him a pass
to
still run. But now she's expected to give us your policies or else. Why is that?
I've said it many times, and you're right. They gave Trump a pass for not debating Nikki Haley and all them. Trump's excuse was, I'm so far ahead, I shouldn't have to debate. In my opinion, if you're running for president, you should debate. I don't care what the numbers are. Just like Kamala Harris should do interviews. But I agree with you. The reason they want Kamala Harris to do an interview, multiple interviews, because this is not going to be good enough. I can guarantee you this time tomorrow, they're going to say things she didn't talk about that she should have. Or the questions were too damn soft, and of course the things she screwed up on. Everything's going to be negative, which is politics. That's how it works. But the whole goal of getting her to do an interview in the first place is content. We know talking about Willie Brown ain't going no damn where. Her being Jamaican and Indian, that shit ain't going no damn where. We need more content to criticize her on. Interviews provide content.
Right. So she's actually playing the script book perfectly, and like they say, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
Ride it out. She wrote it out perfectly, and eventually she has to do an interview. Yes, it was coming, and it's gonna come, but she didn't have to yield to anybody's pressure of doing an interview before the convention. And when they're ready, is she doing an interview tonight or something? You said?
Yeah, tonight at 8 o'clock Central.
Okay.
In 2 hours and 15 minutes. CNN.
Okay, so So, like you said, it's just for content to twist words or pluck and pick, so they can say, "Oh, she did say this," or "she intended." That's all it was.
Well,
like you said.
Democrats will do the same thing. It's politics, but that is why they wanted her to do an interview. I mean, because at the end of the day, folks said we need to hear her policies. If you're on the right, there ain't a damn thing she could say that's gonna make you vote for her. You just want to hear her talk so you can pick that shit apart.
Right, and like you mentioned earlier, if the vice president had policies, well, we didn't hear from Pence. He would have been the leading candidate. He would have definitely blew out DeSantis. We would be like, oh, Pence is so high up. Pence is this. Pence is that. The vice president is just the vice president, just in case the president falls to his death while he's in office. He's just the number one cheerleader for the president. We all know this because we all took that social studies class of what the vice president's role is. It's a figurehead, we know this. So they just putting the squeeze on why she was supposed to do this and what's supposed to do that because it sounds good online. You know what I'm saying? Because then if the vice president had that much push or say, it would have been, Pence would have been so further ahead in his political and his run for president, but obviously he did it. And like you mentioned, the fact that all the former leaders, Pence, the Reagan administration, or any McMaster, any other, all those top Republicans in the party did not support or come to the Republican or even commercials or to the convention, are not really cheerleading, tells you a lot of what's going on. And like you said, man, you hit it on the head. He's not good at HR. Herschel Walker, Hulk Hogan are your cheerleaders?
Well, I like me some Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was just a fan base, but he was trying to give Herschel Walker a Senate position. That's insane.
Right. But check this out. And I made the comment, but I can't think of doctor. What's the doctor name that was
Dr. Oz?
No. The doctor, while Trump was president, he's over HUD.
Oh, you talking about Ben Carson?
He put Ben Carson, a doctor, over HUD.
Yeah, you know something? All of the criticism about how poor Dr. Fauci was doing, why not replace Dr. Fauci with Ben Carson? I mean,
I know Ben Carson right now going, wait a minute, I'm a doctor. You put me over HUD, now you're going to take RFK, because he's talking about some vaccines, and you're going to give him a health position? I'm a doctor.
He basically just gave Ben Carson a position to make some easy money and sit on his ass, for maybe a trade-off, if you step down in endorsement, which is what a lot of them do. I'm not just bashing Trump, but that was just a reward for stepping down and endorsing Trump. That's all, because over housing and urban, and here's Ben Carson. Ben Carson's qualification for being able to maintain housing. Well, I grew up in Detroit. What the fuck is that? I mean, that's it. That's your whole qualification. You grew up in Detroit. So I agree with
Ben
it.
Carson is a doctor, and he got a HUD position. He was over HUD. He's a board certified. I think he was a brain surgeon or something. He was a licensed doctor, and you gave him a hush position on just to, hey, go over there, like Pete Buttigieg. Okay, well, you step down, you could be over transportation. Just give him. They gave him a appeasement position.
Yeah, and that's what that was. That's what.
But now I know Ben Carson's probably swinging his errand fist, going, "You gonna put RFK health and human service position? What, Trump? Now you're really disrespecting me." But then that's what you get when you're a black Republican and you really just tap-toe dancing. And then this is my point. People say that I was on a different say black males have been bamboozled, or we just go with the flow of the Democratic Party because we've been told to just fall in line, right? But you're representatives of who we're supposed to. Your Byron Donalds, Tim Scott, Ben Carson. They're not doing a great job of convincing black males that the Republican Party is where I should be going. Because both Byron Downs and Tim Scott are married to white female, right? But we're supposed to, these are our role models, or these are, they're telling me as a black male to say, oh, I got it wrong. I've been bamboozled and brainwashed by the Democratic Party all these years. But those are the people that are supposed to pull me to the Republican side because I've been brainwashed.
Yeah, I mean, you could be black and have a white. I think the issue is, I don't think especially Tim Scott, Senator Tim Scott out there in South Carolina, but probably Ben Carson to some degree, but I don't think Tim Scott has any black friends. So he's not going to bring many blacks to the Republican Party. I mean, he doesn't look like he really hangs around much African American culture at all. I mean, he's hanging around. Yeah. So
Donald saying they're not authentic, and
right.
You know, if that's who you're telling me is the upstanding of why I've been brainwashed, and the one president said, "Oh, I'm gonna have these guys voting Democrat for all these years, and I've gotten it all wrong."
But I'll interrupt you and tell you this though. There are plenty of blacks that see the same in Kamala Harris too, with her white husband. They believe she's not authentic as well. I mean, there's a lot of folks in the African American community that don't see Kamala Harris as very authentic. It's just she happens to be running against Trump, and they don't like Trump even more. But a lot of blacks don't see her as authentic as well.
Right. Now listen, Trump was my commander-in-chief for 4 years, but I'm not voting for the man. He's a nice, I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to be honest. He did some courageous things in my city. A bus driver saw a person going to commit suicide, okay? Mm-hmm. And the bus driver stopped the person from committing suicide, and Trump gave that bus driver, I believe he paid off the guy's house. Okay.
Wow.
Trump is a good humanitarian at times. He's given his personal money. I think he paid off a guy's house. He gave another person $10,000 for something. He's
not all bad.
As a voting American, Trump has done some good things. Okay, because I'm a Democrat. I can personally attest that he did that here in my city.
Wow.
I'm in New York. Okay. But he was my commander-in-chief.
Okay.
When I was in the military. I got an honorable discharge. Okay. That does not make him to be the president of the United States of America.
I don't disagree.
I just don't believe it.
Well, we'll see in, I think it's about 60 some odd days. It's getting pretty close, but I do got to move it on. Go ahead. Give you the last word.
The only thing I want you to ask is this whole new notion heard about this group talking about Kamala can't run because black people who are free and enslaved wasn't intended in the Constitution to run.
Oh, that's that Dred Scott shit?
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
This is what I want you to ask your audience. Okay, if that's the case with the Constitution, what it intended and not intended, then what is the true definition of a white American then? Because truthfully, we all came from somewhere outside of America. What is the true definition of a white American?
It's hard to even go into that. I mean, the folks who bringing that up, that's just racist.
For black Americans or whatever, then define for me what is a white American, a white person. Because truthfully, if you say I'm a white person, then let's go into your background. You came from.
You're gonna give me. I'm not. That shit will give me a headache. I gotta move on. I'm not.
All right, thank you.
But appreciate it, firefighter. Yeah, the whole Dred Scott look. Just like folks say, instead of trying to lock Trump up, beat him at the ballot box. Bringing up Dred Scott as a reason to get rid of Kamala Harris, or saying that she didn't get voted in. No, beat her at the ballot box. Follow the same rules. Quit making up bullshit that's not going to go anywhere. I want to know why Tim thinks Kamala should be president, and what makes him think she will be a better candidate, or is he just voting blue always, no matter who is running? I I've made it clear that I do believe on paper. Good question, by the way. Phantom 75. I made it clear I don't think that Trump was a bad president on paper. I unlike MAGA, I don't agree you should just be to say any damn thing you want without consequences. I know MAGA believes that you pay attention to Trump's policies, not his words. Don't vote with your feelings. Don't vote based on emotion, based on policy. However, I'm going to point out a couple things. And I don't believe in free speech without consequences like MAGA, but I will point out a couple things. The Trump of 2016 to 2020, the guy who had the alleged great economy, no wars, all of the good attributes we give Trump of 2016 to 2020, that Trump from 2016 to 2020 is not the Trump you're getting 2024 to 2028. What do I mean? The 2016 Trump didn't have a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. You didn't have abortion bans in place. He was not talking about giving police immunity. I mean, it's a different dude. I mean, last time it was vote based on policy, not emotion. Everything I mentioned is policies. He's a different guy. The economy, we want a good economy. I'd love to have $2 gas again. I'd love to have low inflation. I don't want to get a police immunity to get that shit. I say that all the time. I drive 80, 90 miles a day while working. I don't have a single arrest on my history. I got a clean criminal history. But the idea that I could get pulled over by a police officer that has complete immunity from prosecution like he's promising, that's frightening. That's frightening. And he hasn't explained what the hell it is. And I know MAGA often states, well, he meant partial or something. He didn't say any of that stuff. He just said police will get their respect and power back if you give them immunity. I don't know what the hell that means. That ain't got nothing to do with Kamala Harris. That's him saying that. I need that cleared up. I believe in the Fourth Amendment just like a lot of my beloved MAGA believes in the Second. I don't want to give police the right to stop and frisk me. Well, if you ain't got nothing to hide, just let them search your car. How about somebody telling you if you ain't got nothing to hide, just let the police register your guns? You're okay with that? You ain't got nothing to hide? Let them register your guns. Let them come in your house and make sure you got certain firearms. You ain't got nothing to hide, right? Would you agree with that? So why the hell would you want me to agree with that? You don't agree with letting the police have access to your firearms because you know damn well they may go too far. So why the hell do I want them in my pockets, in my car, in my house? Why not use your own logic in defense of the Fourth Amendment? You don't want people taking away your guns to lower crime. Well, I don't want them taking away my damn privacy. It works both ways. What happened to, in regards to the Second Amendment, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Why the hell does that go away when it comes to the Fourth Amendment? Are we picking and choosing which amendments are important? What happened to favoring the whole damn Bill of Rights? Suddenly we're giving away some of them? You know what it is? I'm okay with them taking away rights if you do it to them, not me. That's what that's all about. If you fuck with the Second Amendment rights, that's me. But if you mess with the Fourth Amendment rights, if you stop and frisk people, well, that's them in Chicago. That's them over there in New York. I'm in Montana. They're not going to stop and frisk me. Then you're not a patriotic, Constitution-loving American. You're picking and choosing what benefits you and essentially saying, fuck the rights of everybody else. I don't favor that. So I don't give a damn what we're talking about Kamala. She's no perfect candidate. But as long as one guy is openly saying, I want to take away people's Fourth Amendment rights, we got to have a talk. That cannot be defended. I don't care about the crime rate. If you're talking about deliberately harming innocent people, I got a conversation. I have to have a conversation over that. Ed G, manhandle her, having your way with her at the ballot box. I'm assuming you're referring to Jesse Waters on Fox. Andy, appreciate the graphic. Thank you. I'm assuming you're referring to Jesse Waters talking about the generals are going to have their way with Kamala Harris. Has he received any punishment from that yet? I mean, did he have to apologize? He did say that. Real quick in the comments, Christopher Bearden says, you know that ain't happening. And since when does one candidate have the right to say any damn thing under the guise, yeah, it sounds crazy, but it ain't happening? I heard Beto O'Rourke of Texas have his whole campaign destroyed because he said, you damn right they're going to take away your ARs. He can't do that. What happened to you know that ain't happening? You voted based on him saying something you didn't agree with. You think Obama could have turned the whole damn country socialist by itself? But you voted against him because you thought he was for something you didn't agree with. Okay, well, Trump is talking about giving police immunity. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with giving them immunity from prosecution. What the hell, should I just ignore it? You didn't ignore Beto O'Rourke. You didn't ignore Obama. Fair is fair, folks. This works both ways. He is saying this stuff. Doesn't matter if it can happen or not. He's making it clear he's in favor of giving police immunity from prosecution. He's in favor of stopping and frisking people in liberal cities. Who commits all the damn crime in liberal cities? People that look like me. People of color. Mostly black people. So the solution is you're going to put cops with complete immunity to address black people. Nothing could go wrong there, huh? I'm sure that'll go perfect. Going back to the box. I'm not going to support immunity from prosecution. I don't have any other answer for that. We were trying to get in Carlos Zirian. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Open borders is a bigger issue than immunity, Mr. Handsome? No, it's not. I don't live near the border. I live near a lot of cops. If I lived in Laredo, El Paso, maybe I'd agree with you. But there's a lot of cops in my neighborhood. I got far more chance of encountering a cop with immunity than somebody crossing the border. Carlos, good afternoon.
Hey, Handsome, what's going on now?
I don't know. I'm in the trenches, man. I don't know. Cops with full immunity.
Oh, man, I hear you, boy. Listen, you're on to something, but we're not really touching it. So I'm voting Kamala, right? I'm with everybody that's got some damn sense.
Okay.
For all the reasons that people are talking about Trump. But it's not like the middle right people are wrong about her. It's not like I was not on fire about how they pulled out of Afghanistan, they being the Biden administration, of which she was a part of.
Well, she didn't have nothing to do with that, though.
Say again?
The vice president didn't have anything to do with that botched evacuation, though. Andy, thank you.
I mean,
You're
she
giving...
she didn't have any personal, she didn't have anything to do with it, like, strategically, but yeah, she's associated to the man that's a part of it. And I don't, and I'm about to get to something. I don't like, it's the same thing I didn't like with Clinton, with Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like when a person like Trump or like Hillary has a bunch of fleeing people from their administration. When a lot of people are fleeing their employ with you, to your point about being good or bad at HR, like, that is a telltale sign you may not be.
You think Hillary Clinton, in terms of people fleeing from her administration, is in the same conversation with Trump?
I do.
Really?
Like, if you go back and you look, and you know I'm always going to have a different take, Handsome. If you go back and look, find me a single video with Hillary Clinton surrounded by people that adored her. There were a bunch of fans, but she didn't have not
That's
one
a good point.
person.
Okay, that
Not one. Yeah.
But she never rose to the rank. I mean, you're talking about the administration for a senator, or, I mean, she was a secretary. I mean, she never rose to the rank of Trump either, though.
Oh, I mean, no, but, like, when I look at Trump, when I saw the RNC, the big counterpoint to me was, when I watched the DNC, I got to see Hillary come back. She was embraced, and she was embraceable, right? You could. She was a different. To your point about the different Trumps, that was a different Hillary. That Hillary that was on stage at the DNC, she would have won. That Hillary would have won.
I think the one in 2016 would have won if it wasn't for Bernie Sanders. I think Bernie Sanders is the reason that Hillary Clinton didn't win.
Okay, but I mean, but Bernie wasn't all in on her either. Like there's a reason people aren't like they were with Kamala. And they're like, nope, I ain't running against that. Forget that. No, Bernie was like, no, I got a shot. I'm gonna take my shot. I'm gonna do it right now.
Well, but the problem is, because Obama and Clinton ran against each other in 2007, and once Obama won, and Hillary Clinton wasn't really professional about that. She also started the birther thing, but eventually she came around and she endorsed Obama, and they kind of had a professional relationship. Bernie Sanders, his voters, many of them never voted for Hillary Clinton. I do believe Bernie Sanders is the reason Hillary Clinton lost.
I mean, I mean, we can debate that, Hansel. I'm not 100% versed on the numbers from back then.
Okay.
But if there was a choice between grab her by the pee and Hillary, it's really a false equivalency. You have one who was a lifetime, like she served the American people her entire life. Like her entire life. Yeah. So, and yet she lost, and there are people on the fringe who could, come up with a good conspiracy as to why. They come back to James Comey and her hard drive, like all that stuff, all that junk food nonsense about why she didn't win. Bernie is a good reason because he took votes from her, but I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not 100% on that. So what I really wanted to say was, I did not see in the RNC this legacy of Republican history like I saw with the DNC. No. That was a stark contrast that stood out to me. I saw other people who were Republicans, but I did not see a baton pass from the previous Republican president to Trump.
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
Trump is essentially hijacked that party. That's the MAGA party now. They're not Republicans anymore. That's MAGA.
Right. He looked like he kissing on the, God rest his soul, but he was kissing on the jacket of a firefighter. But like, to me, it looked like he was the president of a different country.
Damn.
Right. It was some weird. It was just weird. It was odd. Right. And
I'm starting to hear that word a lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. It was odd. I'll say that. It was odd. On the DNC, you got a complete history of time.
Yeah.
You got a complete history of time. So yeah, I'm about to land my plane, man. I wanted to come up here and say just a couple things. Kamala doesn't get a pass for what she's currently in the administration she's in. Like, we can't make excuses for why she has or hasn't done a thing. Mm-hmm. They're right about that. And I want to hear her answer to some of that stuff. I'm going to be watching that interview this evening. The second thing is, like I was talking about, that legacy. Like, I didn't see the legacy. So if your chat, if they're Republicans, like, that should be concerning to you. Where's the rest of your history?
Well, a lot of them believe that the legacy Republicans are sellouts. I mean, MAGA doesn't have anything good to say about any of the McCains, the Romneys, the Bushes. They do like Reagan, but outside of Reagan, MAGA thinks all the rest of them were just damn near as bad as the liberals now.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's terrible. How you gonna think that when we were during that time from Reagan forward, we were the world's we weren't even a superpower. What'd they call us? We were like a hyperpower. Yeah. Remember that? We were a hyperpower. Well, how do you become a hyperpower and then complain about the people that rose you to that status? Everybody's using the dollar. Yeah, you got the most powerful military. Go ahead.
Yeah, not to mention all of them folks, whether it's McCain, Romney, Bush. If you're MAGA and you're over 40, chances are you're part of the reason a lot of them got their jobs. I mean, they didn't get put in by liberals.
Right. And the reason we are Top Gun, Terminator, like The reason we are America has to do with the history that brought us to this point. And to abandon that history for Trump, what is wrong with you? What is wrong? What is broken? Like in you to not see that with your eyes, still go to the ballot box and go, nope, everybody else is dumb but Trump. Like, get out of here.
All right.
Anyway, I like my playing, brother.
Carlos, appreciate it. Good talk.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving the program on. Pence is a rhino, says Ramshackle Farm. No, he's not. And listen, I'm not going to defend Pence by any stretch of the imagination, but once Trump came along, and maybe you believe Trump has the best policy for America, I'm not going to argue with that. You know, there are reasons to like Trump, fair enough. But once Trump came along, every traditional Republican suddenly started morphing into a rhino. The reality is Trump is the rhino. I mean, he's because Republican in name only is what rhino means. And I always compare Trump to Bernie Sanders, is because they both ran for the party that they're really not a part of because they needed the money of the party. I mean, you need money in politics. You can't run it. Go ask RFK how easy it is to run as an independent or third party. So Bernie Sanders ran as a Democrat when he really was not. He's a socialist. And he was, and you can tell the similarities between Trump and Bernie Sanders being outsiders for the parties they ran to lead, because they both have a lot of problems with traditional members of the party. You know, the Nancy Pelosi's and all, they're always clashing with Bernie Sanders. And Trump clashes with all of the traditional Mitch McConnell's and the traditional members of the Republican Party. Because you're not really one of us. You kind of came in and hijacked the party. That's what Bernie Sanders was doing. He was going to come in and hijack the party and force these very far left progressive, or he called himself a socialist. The party wasn't for that. And the party before Trump were not for all the stuff of MAGA. So what Trump did, unlike Bernie Sanders, because the Democrats got rid of Bernie Sanders before he could divide their party, Trump came in and he has essentially chopped the Republican Party in half. I mean, like I said, the only way you can survive as a Republican is to really be pro-Trump. Like Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, who were Democrats the whole time Biden was in, you wouldn't survive as a Republican being that resistant to Trump. You wouldn't be there. Even the likes of Mitt Romney and Mitch McConnell, the folks that the right do not like, they actually were voting with Trump most of the time. They just criticized them a little bit and they got rid of him. Joe Manchin only voted with Biden like 70% of the time. So you're talking almost 1 out of every 3 times Joe Manchin was voting against Biden. That wouldn't be tolerated on the right. If Joe Manchin was a Republican voting against Trump that much, his life would be in danger. That would not be tolerated. I mean, he would be so much of a rhino, he would probably need to have some form of Secret Service protection or something. His life would be in danger. If he was destroying Trump's policies, destroying Trump's legacy, his administration that much, because a lot of Biden's policies, things he wanted to pass, got shot down by Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema running. And I think Kristen Sinema has left the party, and Joe Manchin is barely hanging on with the Democrat. These are dinos, if you want to give them a name. That wouldn't be tolerated if he was a Republican doing that. Looking in the comments, it says correct, it wouldn't be tolerated. Yeah, it wouldn't be. His life would be in danger. You're voting against Trump damn near 1 out of 3 times, and you calling yourself a Republican, yeah, you would be a serious about to say rhino, but they'd be calling you damn near a traitor or something. His life would be in danger. As a non-proud Republican, never heard that before, but as a non-proud Republican, I hate Republican Party. Damn. New movement to start, new slate. We the people back again, fresh and new, out with anyone leaning global. Pence, fake Christian, no so. You think Mike Pence is a fake Christian? First of all, because you did say you're not, you didn't say you don't support Trump though. Because if you're going to bring up somebody that's a non-Christian, Trump admitted it. Trump actually got on stage and said, I'm not a Christian. That used to be very important among the Republican leadership. Can you imagine 10 years ago having a Republican Party in a town hall room and telling them, asking the Republican Party, let's say you got 10,000 Republicans in a town hall style meeting 10 years ago and asking them, would you vote for a president who openly states they're not Christian? What do you think they'd answer? I think they'd answer that question. He's stating openly that he is not a Christian. And then we can talk about the wives and all of that other shit. Would you vote for that guy? I think Trump has done a really good job making a lot of changes to what the Republicans used to be. Andy, good afternoon, or good evening, rather. Welcome to the program, Andy. That Kamala Harris interview, 45 minutes. Starts at 45 minutes on CNN. First interview. Andy, good afternoon, or good evening, rather.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Is there any reason to vote for Kamala Harris at all, is what we're discussing?
Yeah.
Give me one.
I'm a woman, so women's rights is like the top of my list.
Wait.
The fact that she, the border package that should have gone through under Donald Trump, but, he canceled it because he needed something to run on. We'll go ahead and pass that.
Well, wait, you said
because
women...
realistically, if they cared about the border, they would have wanted to do something and not nothing. The mere fact that they let it go all that time tells me they don't give a damn.
Well, you started out by saying women's rights. Many on the right would suggest that Trump hasn't taken away any women's rights. How do you respond to that?
Those Supreme Court justices of his, direct result of something he did. Not to mention, since he negotiated with the Taliban and released them back onto Afghanistan, those women wear veils now are not allowed to speak in public. So I'm sorry, but no.
That's interesting you bring that up, because a lot of folks on the left have issues with left-wing politicians for something that's happening overseas in Israel. And you are rightfully pointing out, and that is true what you're saying, Trump negotiated with the Taliban to give them Afghanistan back, and they went right back to oppressing women. So for folks that believe that you're supporting Israel and their oppression of Gaza, you're kind of saying the same thing from an Afghanistan standpoint. They are oppressing women in Afghanistan. That is true.
Well, I mean, we also have an ironclad contract with Israel, if anybody's bothered to read the treaty, that says we will defend them no matter what they do. It's all right there in writing. Everybody signed it. We all knew what we signed. It's not my fault that most of the audience has never bothered to read a treaty that we've signed with anybody. That's on them. That's lack of education on their part, not mine. But what Trump did with the Taliban, though, is he withheld money from the Afghan government to negotiate that crap and force them into their government, which we would have probably impeached him for a third time.
Damn.
Had it not been the end of his presidency, let's be honest.
So let me ask you this question. Coming out of YouTube, David Foster says, which party would benefit you financially, including this live stream? So, and you can answer, but by the way, folks, everybody, Trump or Kamala, which party do you believe would be the best in terms of financially for you? Between Kamala and Trump, which one do you believe would be best for your own personal economics? Andy, what say you?
Well, actually, I am a capitalist, just so everybody knows. I believe that, capitalism should have some guardrails so they just don't completely rake us over the coals. But my stocks have gone up significantly. Significantly under the Biden-Harris administration.
And I think
so. If he's wondering how my pocketbook's doing, Donald Trump had the lowest stock market drop in U.S. history. No. Pandemic or not, the way he handled it was crappy. Nobody trusted him. So, U.S. businesses showed consumers and stock investors showed a no confidence vote, and it sank to the bottom. Since Biden's been in office, I think we've hit 3 stock market highs, including one while Trump was telling everybody how bad it was on live TV as it reached its next pinnacle, which was very humorous, by the way.
So I mean, you said the border as well. Do you hold her accountable for taking so damn long, though, for going on television and saying there was nothing wrong at the border for the first couple years?
Republicans have overplayed that border for way too long. I remember what it was like before 9/11, and George W. Bush gave us the damn TSA and fucking Homeland Security, and like, you want to talk, they talk about small government. When have Republicans been for small government? Because that was the largest expansion of U.S. government in history, I do believe.
Wow. So now in regards to the border, because one of my often pushbacks is, it's not really affecting me where I live. I'm not dealing with immigrants all over the. Now you're in Alabama down there. Is there a major issue
Well, it
with
affects me when they don't have come here to work because we have stuff not getting built and their construction projects everywhere half finished because apparently Alabamians are too lazy to work. I don't know, but we were definitely having a labor problem.
Wow. Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. The border is one. I think two issues that the right often bring up that are primary issues for them. I think most of the people on the right don't even deal with those issues, such as the issue with illegal immigrants. Most right-wing areas in this country are not being flooded with illegal immigrants. Outside of a few border states, if you live in Wyoming, Minnesota, or Wyoming or Montana somewhere.
Well, I can help you here. I've seen the prison numbers because I deal with that somewhat, and I can tell you that they're the lowest number in the prison numbers, like the absolute lowest. As prison population as convicted people, because they generally want to come over here and keep their head down and not go to jail. That's generally the plan.
No.
And in actuality, most crime, 65% of crime is committed by people that look like me.
Wow, really? 65%?
Yep.
Damn.
I don't know what these people whine about continuously. They don't ever go look at anything, and they assume an awful lot. And you know what they say about assume, right?
Ask that of you and me. So are you going to be watching this interview tonight?
Probably.
Yeah. I would definitely see if I can catch it. I want to catch the Buffaloes. Deion Sanders is playing, but I certainly want to see if I can. And they don't make TVs with split screen anymore.
I've been watching her rallies, so I mean, I don't think she's going to like expand a whole lot outside. Like, I already know what she's about. Like, so, you know, I'll sit down and listen to what she has to say, but
if she don't expand, I would have a real problem with that because I have watched her rallies as well.
She's talked quite a lot. No, but y'all don't look like Republicans in general, not you, Tim, but like I've talked to a lot of them, like they know very little. And she's already said, like I don't agree with the taxing of the tips because I think that it hurts more than it helps. Taking away that because people don't realize that that's what your Social Security is based off of. And if you don't, you know, actually show the amount of money you're making, you lose money. I think in America, these corporations can more than afford to pay their population. They can't everywhere else in the world. Why not here?
Well, to me, if you want to help out civil service that receive tips, the goal should be to increase their salaries, not allow them to keep taxes. That's what
I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you on that. These corporations pay these prices, and like other countries, like Europeans come here and they don't tip because they don't have tipping in their country.
Yeah, because I mean, you can actually pay a waitress or a bartender like $2 and something an hour in a lot of states. Like, there's no excuse for that.
And they tried this before in the 80s. They talked about this in the 80s when they raised up the thing, because then we started having to pay tax on them. That's when they first started it. When we first started paying tax, there was a big pushback to make it stop.
Yeah, there's no...
So whoever this was in the comments, it wasn't Trump's idea first either. This has been kicked down the road back and forth. And, like, I've seen both sides of it, heard from, you know, like I said, considering it's been done before, heard both sides, but I just don't see how it'll benefit us as a whole. Like, I'm against that policy.
Yeah, there is,
against that policy.
Yeah, there is no excuse if you're running a successful restaurant or bar or something where you can only afford to pay your employee $20 or so for an 8-hour shift. Nobody should be allowed to give an employee $2 and something an hour and then force that employee to need tips to get by. Just pay that person right. If you need to add an extra 50 cents or $1 onto the tab, by the way, if we don't have to tip, then we can afford to pay a little bit more for the meal.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're paid, and on top of that, the waitress then has to turn around and tip her busboy.
Yeah, that needs to stop. Yeah, that needs to stop. I mean, that's allowing
I just think we should pay them the amount of money they deserve to get paid and be done with it. That's it. I'm with you on that. We agree. I think that, and like I said, Republicans themselves ignored the border while they're talking about her. Like, at least Biden came in with a plan that was rejected. Congress has been working on one. They made another bill, rejected. They took stuff out of it, still rejected. So one party has actively been working on it. And even though the other parties have been actively participating in working on it, only one side's voting. So you cannot force Republicans to vote for good stuff when they're actively saying they're doing it out of spite.
Damn. All right, Andy.
This is just like Mitch McConnell. Obama will be a one-term president. This is why Democrats have just given up on Republicans, because if you cannot come to the bargaining table and just say it's our way or the highway, well,
yeah, I don't think they gave up on Republicans. I think that's Trump with the my way, the highway, to get on the Trump train. I think traditionally
that was before Trump. That was Mitch McConnell when Obama became president. That's how long Republicans have been doing this. This my way or the highway. I'm sorry, but if you're not willing to negotiate, you shouldn't lead.
Well, but didn't Obama?
What did Vice President Harris says? I'm going to be all of your president.
But Obama also said something like, "I won and I can do things with my pen." Obama was making those statements too.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been a comedian. I'll give you that. He was being a smart ass. He was trying to be funny. It didn't come off that way.
Now you're sounding like MAGA.
But still, he shouldn't have said it.
Now you're sounding like MAGA.
He shouldn't have said it. Well, no, I'm just saying he shouldn't have said it.
Okay.
At least I'm agreeing. Like, he should have said that shit. If I was saying, no, he was just trying to be funny, then I would be like them. No, he shouldn't have said it. Okay. I'm not,
All right, fair enough. I got to move it on, Andy. Appreciate you coming through, though.
Thank you very much.
As always.
Remember, women, vote blue for your best interest.
Oh, all right. Moving on. Now, I saw somebody in the comments said, I beg to differ. This was Jackie Simmons said, I beg to differ. I'm a trucker all over this country, and I see more foreigners than citizens. How do you know they're foreigners? You're a trucker. You're all over the country. And you how do you know they're foreigners? You asking them for papers? I'd be curious to know that. Now, I used to be an over-the-road driver myself, and I see plenty of. How do you know they don't have residency? So I'd be curious to know what do you mean by that? Can you inform your audience there has been 301 tie-breaking votes in the U.S. Senate, 300 by Republicans. All right, they've been informed. He sees more foreigners than citizens, FID. Well, and that's what I was saying. The two issues that seem to dominate, well, the economy is obviously number one, and I'm for getting the economy back on par. But two other major issues that seem to dominate Republican politics is one being the border, and the other one seems to be issues surrounding the transgender community, playing for the wrong team, going in the wrong bathroom, you name it, just allowing the transgender community to exist in general. And as I was pointing out, I don't think most Americans are dealing with this stuff. I now, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, maybe Florida are dealing with widespread issues with immigrants. But if you live in Maine, you think the people in Maine are dealing with constant influx of illegal immigrants? Even coming from Canada, there are probably not many of them up there. You think the people that live in Idaho have a major illegal immigration problem? Most right-wing states, this stuff is not, certainly when it comes to the LGBT community, if you're a transgendered American and you want to go into the bathroom of the gender you identify as, or you want to play for the gender that you identify team in high school and you're in a red state, that ain't even safe. If you're a Republican, you ain't dealing with this stuff. It ain't even safe to do it in your community. So that's what's I'm kind of questioning, because the right is bringing this, you're not dealing with this stuff. I mean, how many of you folks out there have been in the bathroom? My audience is mostly male, but obviously we just had a female in it. How many of you folks out there that are male has been in the bathroom and a transgender female walked in? Or how many of you got kids in school and a transgender female wanted to play on the other team in that school that your kids go to. I'd say well over 99.9% of places, this ain't happening. This is not happening. This is a huge issue for the right. They're passing laws to make sure a transgender female can't play for other teams. Comes up at every rally. I want to keep men out of women's sport. This ain't happening nowhere, though. Why is this so huge? I don't get it. I'm not a fan of it. I don't believe that a man, I'm 6'6", 300 pounds. There's no way in hell I should be able to identify as a woman and go play any sport against a female. No, I agree with that. But it's not happening no damn where. The right makes it sound like we are inundated, if I can get the damn word pronounced right, of transgender men dressing as women, going in bathrooms, hurting kids, like it's happening every damn where. Nobody's dealing with this. I mean, this is what can cause people to get killed. Nobody is dealing. You're not dealing with this shit in Alabama, rural Georgia, Kentucky, but that's all they're talking about. Now, the economy, you got a winning issue. But this shit here is just, man, I hate to say the word, but it's just hatred. It's just hatred. It ain't got nothing to do with reality. It's just hatred. And the immigrant issue, I don't know. Same thing. Rural Kentucky, is there really a lot of illegal immigrants there? A lot of immigrants in eastern Tennessee? Is that a real big issue there? Immigrants are here graping and is that really happening in Kentucky? A bunch of immigrants are graping and unaliving people? Is that what's happening in rural Mississippi? A bunch of illegal immigrants coming there and graping and unaliving people? I really think that some of this stuff, it's boogeyman issues. I don't really believe it's really happening to the level. Now, one is too many, damn it. One person coming in this country, unvetted, illegally, and killing somebody is too damn many. But Trump is saying it's 18 million. They're not the best and brightest. They're all rapists and unalivers. It's not true. It's not true. Looking in the comments real quick, I wanted to address some super chats. Illegals are everywhere. Wake up, says Savage. A lot of names, Savage Games. True. I do believe there are illegal immigrants permeating this country, but they're not everywhere graping and unaliving people. Most of the folks that are in, and by the way, I just want to say this because I know this is specifically to my beloved MAGA side of the aisle. There is a difference between an illegal immigrant and an asylum seeker. I know you guys group them all up as one. The asylum seekers are not here illegally. They're not. Now, I know if Trump gets elected, this largest deportation in history is going to include them. But you don't have 18 million, 10 million, or whatever these big numbers. No, a lot of them are asylum seekers. Asylum seekers are people that actually have a case pending. They're not here illegally. So there is a difference. Wow. Bobby Covina said, shout out to the weather girls. It's raining Mexicans in California. Okay. Shout out to the weather girls. I like that song. It's raining Mexicans. I haven't heard that one before. Damn. Well, you do know that used to be their country, right? There was Mexico before it became Baja Mexico. If you kind of take somebody's homeland, you usually have a few stragglers left behind. But that was their country. You do realize that, right? Raining Mexicans. No, it's raining white men in California. That's what it is. It ain't raining Mexicans, it's raining white men. It was their place first. But I appreciate your input. Raining Mexicans, I love that. Super chats. Cops should not go to jail for someone overdosing. Depends on how. I think that was tied into the immunity discussion. Heavy metal patriot. All right, let the bodies hit the floor. In regards to, but is that scream metal? No, that's heavy metal, ain't it? Metallica. In regards to cops should not go to jail for someone overdosing. Depends on how it happened. if you are a member of law enforcement, you're supposed to render first aid. If you show up to the scene, it's just another druggie, let his ass go. Yeah, you should go to jail for that. So it depends on what happened in regards to you saying he shouldn't go to jail for somebody overdose. And I need to know the details. And G, Taliban is going to take control of the country no matter what the people there were against or the American puppet government. You want to impose your freedoms on Muslims. Well, that's the whole reason why we've been in these other countries, Ed G. But you are right. If the people don't fight for their own freedom, there's only so much we can do. But that was the original. That's been the, I say this all the damn time. When folks say the military is fighting for our freedom, not really since World War II. Ever since World War II, all of our conflicts have literally been us fighting to limit the freedoms of other countries. Vietnam, Korea, Panama, Iraq, Afghanistan. None of them folks are really a danger to Americans. We were a danger to them. But I do agree with you. The Taliban was going to control them no matter what. Eventually, whenever we leave, they're going to go back to what they were doing. I don't disagree with that, Ed G. Thank you. Jay Roger, the only thing Trump proved is that he is the king of making decisions with no real plan behind them. Prime example, the ban on Muslims. The ban on Muslims is all about convincing the grapists and unalivers of the Hispanic. Well, a lot of folks feel the same thing about the Muslims, that they just all are terrorists. And I think Trump has said some comments to that effect. I'd have to do a little research to give you some real good comment, but I think he said some comments to that effect. That just most of them are just coming here to unalive people. So, hey, look, at the end of the day, if they're just a bunch of invaders, poisoning the blood of America, vermin, coming to grape and I wouldn't want them here either if I believed that. I mean, they're just bad people. They're not sending us their best and brightest. They're just sending us a bunch of unalivers and grapists. I wouldn't want them here either. I mean, everything he said about him is bad. So, but no, I agree that the Muslim ban was wrong. And to me, in my opinion, the Muslim ban was probably a product of hate to some degree. Why would you ban somebody solely based on a religion? The Muslim religion is on every continent, and you're talking dozens of countries. Some of them are allies. I mean, some of them are members of NATO. Turkey is a member of NATO. Why are you banning all Muslims? Some of that's probably hate. Now, he later corrected that and narrowed it down to certain countries because it sounded awful. I think the Supreme Court at the time is what stopped him from doing it. He actually tried to do that. He carried that out. Supreme Court stopped him. I don't know what the current Supreme Court, if you can depend on that happening again, but they did stop, which is why I keep saying the Trump of 2024 is different than the Trump of 2016. If Trump gets elected, maybe you favor his policies, his plans for the economy. I get it, but he will be a far more powerful president in 2024 than he was in 2016. 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court, likely to appoint at least Alito and Clarence Thomas's replacement, maybe Sotomayor. So he could be one guy with like 6 appointments on the Supreme Court. That didn't happen in 2016. We already know what's happened with abortion in this country and states' rights. I mean, he's a far more powerful dude. I mean, the Supreme Court has already given him at least some form of undefined immunity. He didn't have all of that in 2016. He's a way more powerful president in 2024 than he was in 2016. Maybe he'll do good with it. We can discuss that. But he is a way more powerful president come January 2025 than he would have been in January 2017. Look at in the comments. The stock, and thank you, Jay Roger. Edgy says the stock has, I guess the stock was at an all-time high with Trump too, but at least under Trump, the value of the dollar wasn't eaten up by inflation. I'm not going to argue. A lot of people favor the economy under Trump, but all of the stuff I'm mentioning, the right don't talk about that much. And that is, like I said, the Supreme Court, the immunity the Supreme Court has given him, the abortion, states' rights, abortion stuff. All of that wasn't happening 2016 to 2020. So, don't you want Trump back? He did a lot better than Biden. Yeah, but he bringing a lot of new shit with him. A lot of new things with him. You didn't have this in 2016. He's bringing a lot of new stuff. Now you don't have to tell people, pay attention to his policies, not his words. The policies are different. The policies are different of Trump. Preach, brother Jay Rocha. Thank you. And somebody sent a message redacted. I don't know. Going back to the box. Trump's handling of the pandemic helped in the dollar devaluation. Wow. King Mo. Well, we know his handling of the pandemic was poor, in my opinion. I can't speak on the dollar devaluation. That's something we'd have to talk about. But his handling of the pandemic was not good. Going back to the box, Chris, did I say Toy? Don't know what just happened there. All right, let me see what happened. Trade freedoms for money. Nope, I'm good. And that is an issue for back. That is an issue because when you listen to Trump supporters, we're talking about the economy and getting money in our pocket. And he is talking about taking freedoms away. There's no denying. Trump talked about if you burn the flag, you should get a year in prison. Supreme Court already ruled that flag burning is protected by the First Amendment. So he wants to at least limit the First Amendment. I talked about him suggesting that police should have stop and frisk rights. That's the Fourth Amendment, protection against unwarranted searches and seizures. They should have a warrant before they search you. If he gives them the right to stop and frisk, that's your Fourth Amendment rights. So flag burning is first. Searches and seizures is fourth. He did mention if you plead the fifth, you got something to hide. You work for the mob. You have a Fifth Amendment right to plead silence. So he's making references to your Fifth Amendment rights. First, fourth, fifth. I won't go too deep into the Second Amendment because many believe that Trump is better for the Second Amendment than liberals, but he did ban bump stocks. He did talk about taking away guns without giving people due process after the Mandalay Bay shooting. He did talk about you don't need high-capacity magazines. Remember, we give the liberals all of the pushback for being a threat to the Second Amendment. Trump is the only president in recent history that's actually passed laws against it. He's the one that took away bump stocks. No liberal has actually done anything at the presidential level. He actually did something. So we're talking the First, Second, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment. And I don't know what category you'd put giving police immunity in, but he's also talked about that. That stuff is a bit concerning to me. Good economy, $2 gas, I love it. But it's concerning if I got to give up all of this shit on the other side. He's on video. It's not CNN. It's not MSNBC saying it. It's him on stage talking about taking away guns without due process, throwing flag burners in jail. You work for the mob if you plead the fifth, and giving police the right to stop and frisk. He's on stage saying it. These are not liberal articles or anything. He's saying it. Looking in the comments, spamming in the comment. Who is the guy spamming? Let me know so I can go ahead and take that person out. Like I said, on YouTube, we get a lot of that. If you want to make a point, but other people do too. So if I see you typing the same thing over and over again, I usually put a 24-hour on them. 19 of the top 20 terrorist organizations in the world follow Islam. What about that? 19 of the top 20 organizations in the world follow Islam. What about that? Well, it's simple. It's improperly labeling what the hell a terrorist is. When's the last time you heard the Klan or a white supremacist group referred to as a terrorist group? It's the same shit. It's the same thing. You're scaring the shit out of people. You're using violence to do it. It's the same thing. So it's not, you say 19 of the top terrorist groups follow Islam. It's because you don't call the other groups terrorists. They're doing the same stuff. They're killing people. America might be considered a terrorist group in some places. I gotta assume the Israelis are. They're terrorizing the shit out of people in Palestine, and it goes way before October 7th. Yeah, of course, 19 out of the top 20 are going to be terrorists. If you alter the definition of terrorists so that only Muslims can get the definition. I mean, if you're going to really look at the definition of terrorism, the colonists that came to this country would fit that definition. Do you ever call the Founding Fathers terrorists? Do you ever call the Confederates what they were doing to people? Do you ever call them, when you're talking about people's pride and heritage, do you call them terrorists? You got people in this country that used to show up to the polling place with shotguns to prevent other people from voting. Have you ever heard them referred to as terrorists? You don't have to follow Islam to be a damn terrorist. People are changing the definition of the word for propaganda purposes. But I appreciate your input. When did Trump support stop and frisk? Dennis Calhoun, go on YouTube, just type Trump support stop and frisk. I think he supported it before, I think when he was running in 2016, I think, is the last time I heard him say it. I'd have to look it up. I played the video of him saying it the other day. Somebody said 7 years ago. But he is on video multiple times, bragging about how it worked in New York, suggesting we using it. Somebody said he said it last week. Wow, King Mo said he said it last week. I'll just say this, putting the date aside, there is no shortage of video of Trump stating he favored stop and frisk. He said it a bunch of times. I don't know the exact dates, but he ain't a 20-year-old saying it. We're talking fairly recent. We're talking well in the 2000s. I mean, there's plenty of, he said it multiple times. So it ain't hard to find it. It ain't hard to find. Like I said, it's not articles. It's not some news. It's him on stage telling you. So plenty of times. Didn't Trump plead the fifth over 100 times? Yeah. And he claimed he had an epiphany once it came down to him doing it. But when Hillary Clinton was doing it, she worked for the mob and things like that. Yeah, Dennis Calhoun, like I said, just look on YouTube, or YouTube or Google or Bing or DuckDuck. There is no shortage of videos of Trump supporting stop and frisk. It's all over the damn place. He still supports it. Just go to his speech. I'm support of police officers. In support of police officers. I've been to a couple of Trump rallies. I didn't see it when I went to, but I wasn't in a liberal city. You don't do rallies in liberal cities, really. I know he went to the Bronx, but he don't really go to, I mean, he's not going to win in liberal cities. So he don't really go do rallies in liberal cities. I think, didn't he say it at the Black Caucus? The Black Caucus, he went to the convention. Did he say it there? I mean, he said so many things that were unpopular there. I don't know. He might have even said it there. But I know he has talked about stop and frisk. He certainly supports it. If you want to see what Trump wants to do, look at Agenda 47. Agenda 47, really, folks, is Project 2025 Light. It's very similar. It is very similar. It doesn't sound like you are a Trump fan, says Cole. Do I sound like I'm a Kamala Harris fan? I see good and bad in both. I don't think everything about Trump is bad. Everything about Kamala Harris is good. But I am not a fan of taking away rights to quote-unquote lower crime. I thought we had a bunch of patriots in here, but for some reason, the same folks defending the Second Amendment will certainly hand over the Fourth. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where that started coming from. Other than, as long as it ain't happening to me, you can do it. He called to Fox and Friends last week and they let him talk about it. Fox and Friends did not do him any good. If he started talking about stop and frisk, because Fox and Friends, Steve Ducey and all of them, Brian Kilmeade, those folks who want Trump, they should have made an excuse why the phone went down or had the producer, somebody turn. Don't let them say that on camera. That's one of the detriments to the Trump campaign is there's no handlers. If you know your person, like remember when Biden was on stage with Obama and he started looking goofy as hell and Obama guided his ass off stage. Sometimes you need that. You don't let him stay up there and look even worse. So he's all over every segment of Fox tomorrow. Get him off the damn stage. When Trump starts talking about stop and frisk, turn down the audio. Go to a commercial. If he had handlers, if I'm his handler, I'm telling the Fox News producer, if I raise my hand, you go to commercial. Period. The minute you look at me while he's talking, if I raise my hand, you go to commercial and turn his audio off. But Trump doesn't have those type of handlers. So he'll say whatever. And at the end of the day, the next day, he's all over MSNBC, CNN, or some shit like that. You need handlers. Everybody does. That ain't just bashing Trump. Give me a mic. I'll say some crazy shit every now and then. You need a handler. He's a 78-year-old man. Sometimes, just like Biden is an 82. It's hard. Sometimes old dogs, new tricks don't work well. You need somebody that can tell you, sir, people don't do that anymore. People don't say that anymore. People don't talk like that anymore. He doesn't have a handler. His language might be more appropriate for a different era sometimes. Raise your hand, go to commercial. Look at it in the comments. Dennis Calhoun. This is Dencal. Oh, appreciate it, Dencal. I just asked to show a Trump fan who said, prove it. Fair enough. Thank you, Dencal. Appreciate seeing you on the YouTube side. Thank you, Dencal. All Trump supporters need to keep an open mind about everything that Trump says to them because more often than not, he's telling a lie. I don't know where to go with that. Anyhow, folks, I do appreciate the 106,000 likes. I am eager to see Kamala Harris in her first speech. I'm missing Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes, which I want to see too, but I want to see Kamala Harris's speech. Undoubtedly, she's going to screw up some, right? I'm sure we'll be talking about it tomorrow. She's not going to say any damn thing that's going to appeal to the right. So clearly we have a lot to talk about tomorrow, as Mr. Rogers will say. And we'll have things you'll want to talk about. I will too. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I will see you folks tomorrow. Thank you. Same on YouTube as well. How is Trump crazy? I don't think Trump is crazy. Scripted speech already pre-taped. Oh, that ain't good. That ain't good. Andy Joe, I used to think Tim swung the other way. That's not LGBT shit, is it? I'm confused as to who he would really support. I hope that ain't LGBT because I don't swing the other way. I gotta go. Let me go catch this speech.